The intention of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are taking a look at this case from a psychological perspective.
Fun. Everybody was having a good time.
Does Brian Albert strike you as the kind of guy who's always having fun? No. And here's a news flash for this judge. Mental health professionals have solutions.
They made an arrest. I got the guy for Danny.
It's like a mix between sadness and anger, because that's the moment for him when he really started to believe that his mother was involved.
The only corresponding records in the other databases are from previous days.
There is a huge psychological component to what was going on here. And according to this group, Brian Albert Jr. gets like the most celebrated birthday hour of anybody ever. Like every 30 seconds, someone's like, "Happy birthday!" John totally seemed like such a cool guy.
John makes me like this.
Somebody jumps in as a journalist, draws attention to it in a light that is not good for the prosecution. I mean, and there are serious allegations of corruption in the DA's office and the state police.
It's not like his 21st birthday.
What happened outside was separate from anything that happened inside.
I'm going to go with the seahorse, because certainly I've gotten a lot of love from everybody today, which feels nice.
You are very, very loved. And I can't believe we get to spend your birthday with you. Happy birthday!
Text messages read back as if he's the aggrieved party.
Hold on. Have each of you been called murderers?
Who wants to be the one to give Matt the bad news?
I wanted to prove, or to demonstrate.
I don't know where the dog was. I didn't hear any barking. Her name is Sunny. She was named after Santino Corleone.
To the side, in the side yard.
Hey, hi, everybody. There's my Johnny. Hello. That's my Johnny.
Sunny barks if you walk by my window and sneeze. You're not really going to deny this, are you?
It's so weird. It's like the Inside Out, Upside Down, Narnia.
I would get at some point in a timely fashion and then turn it over.
Know if we had it enough, or we had it all, I should say. Kill me.
Not having any observable or detectable electrical activity would be asystole.
Means death. 3 separate tab IDs. The thing he had to encourage her to do was not to testify.
You know, and Julia Albert responds to the text message from John, and she goes, "My biggest fear in life is ending up on Turtle Boy."
Stop it.
Oh, you never seen that? Oh, I got it.
You're not going to like this, though. You're going to disagree with me on
Just say it. I like the
disagreement.
conflict.
Okay.
Yeah, the disagreement.
I'd say the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
People are terrified of him. They're absolutely terrified of him. And how do we know that? We know that from Mega Motion. Just another day for me, right? Which means it was just not an ordinary day for somebody else. Just when you thought you were out, they pull you back.
Karen Reed plots. She fabricates a conspiracy.
I am just a person who likes to understand. That's going to increase the likelihood that we're going to take some action.
Here she is.
My sister Jillian, yes.
It's funny. But then he's got part of his shirt untucked. His back pocket is kind of hanging out.
Testified that. So, testified that. So.
And showing solidarity, you can see them there.
It's about getting justice for John O'Keefe. There clearly is an issue of integrity.
How dare they?
Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
Hello, welcome. Yay! This is the I Don't Belong Here show, and I am your host, Samantha Benigno. I am a behavioral scientist, a career psychotherapist, a 6th-year PhD candidate in clinical psychology, a master's level psychologist and counselor. And I welcome everybody to our Wednesday Night Live. Hi, everybody. I see all my favorite people are here with us tonight. Hi. Hi, Denise. Hi, Mark. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, everybody. Hi, Rudy. Hi, Twigs. Hi, guys. Hi, Jenny. Thank you guys for being here. You know, I've been so freaking busy this week between this Corey Richin stuff. And then, of course, thanks to the lovely Corey Hopkins, we still are getting new uploads to this document download, which includes the raw videos from all the stuff from the 2 Karen retrials. We've gotten new sidebars from the second trial. And it's by itself. Like, I could spend probably 3 episodes just talking about the differences between the 2 sidebars, like how the niceties have gone away by the second trial, just how Hank Brennan changes the dynamic so completely, getting to know him more, just hearing him during sidebars. The whole thing is fascinating. I mean, at least purely from a psychological perspective. So there's so much there. And then this trial, and I have to be honest, I didn't even remember the name Corey Richin. It's like, I didn't even realize this was coming. And then to have it be here, and all of a sudden it's like this huge, massive thing that's front and center. And so it's fun. I love the live trials. They're the best, but it's also a tremendous amount of work. So we were very, very lucky, because I guess court basically got canceled today after like an hour. I think they started at 8:30, and then at 9:30, the judge had to have some kind of a break. It was supposed to be for an hour, and then they just didn't come back, which was really odd. Nobody knows what that was about. The judge said it was no fault of anyone's. It was on him, whatever that means. So, but what did get put out, and I found this on Core TV, so I don't know how they got it, or my understanding, and I didn't see it played for us on day 2. But apparently this 40-minute body cam video was shown to the jury at some point on day 2, but we never saw it. And so we actually get to see the majority. I mean, not all, some of it's kind of, cut out, but we get what I've been desperate for, which is more of Corey Richin's words and statements. And I spent a lot of time on it today, and I can't wait to show you guys what I found. Even if you don't care at all about this case, it's interesting because we get to see this body cam from one of the sheriff's deputies first on the scene. And we get to see how this woman is reacting to the questions. We also get to see how Eric's sister, Katie, who clearly just, oh my God, adores her brother, adores him. You get to see how she reacts. And so you really get to see what the differences are, which is interesting. And of course, everybody reacts to grief differently. And I want to, before we talk about anything to do with that tonight, I want to preface this with that because it's true. But I did some investigating. And I went and I spent probably a good hour on looking into lots of other people on YouTube talking about their firsthand accounts of losing a spouse, losing a partner. And I'm only going to show you a couple of clips. I'm not trying to, make people morbidly depressed because it was very tough even to watch for 10 minutes, right? I was definitely tearing the whole time listening to these people's stories because it's, oh my God, devastating. But after listening for 40 minutes, guess what happens? You start to hear themes emerge. And then it hit me. It hit me like I knew there was something off about the whole thing. And then it hit me what it is. And so I can't wait to share that with you. And like I said, even if you're not following this trial, it's really interesting because you get to see, is this woman, did she do it? Like, did she poison her husband? And I have a whole theory about what I think happened, which I will share with you in a bit. And I can't wait to hear what you guys think happened because it's an interesting story, right? It's not as straightforward as it appears on the outside. And of course, the defense's job is to poke holes in the prosecution's theory. And because, of course, of everything that's happened with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and Norfolk County and all the cases and all the corruption, my instinct is to just be weary of the prosecutor's office, no matter where they are, right? Like Utah, California, Florida, Massachusetts, New York, wherever, because of the power that they have. And because we know, right, if they get a theme and a theory in their head, they're coming for you, right? Like Karen Reed still doesn't have her cell phones back because they won't let it go, because they can't let it go. So my instinct is not to be like, oh, they're right, which might have been, to be completely fair, that may have at one point been my natural assumption because I didn't know anything about the legal system. I wasn't really paying close enough attention, and that's on me. So now that I am hesitant to just buy what they're selling. Like, so opening statements, sure, she sounds as guilty as it could be, but I'm waiting to see all the evidence. And as I have said already about this case, there are two things, right? There's, did she do it? And then there's a separate question, which is really, does the state meet its burden of beyond a reasonable doubt? Did they present enough evidence to prove that? And I now really understand that those are two very separate things, right? Like, we all want to know what happened. Is this person guilty? And of course, that's our personal investment. But there's no question that, nuts and bolts matter when it comes to these trials, and they've got to prove it. And this was another shoddy investigation situation. And you really wonder, like, what goes on? What is going on in medical examiner's office? Like, where is Dr. La Posada when you need her? Like, right? Like, come on, guys. You don't test the bottle of medication that's outdated next to this guy's dead body? Like, what are you doing? Right? It's very frustrating. So there's that. But of course, I have been really busy continuing my efforts to try to determine, because remember where we left off in the Seeking Justice for John O'Keefe case, as I am now referencing it, I came to the conclusion that once I put my confirmation bias to the side, I was left and confronted with the fact that he must have walked in this house, that he had to have walked into the house, that they must have seen him walk in the house. Not only because of the cell phone data, although the cell phone data is a big part of it, but because, of course, of the words, statements, and behaviors of the people in the house. So I'm in the middle of working on a project where I am taking all of the House defendants, including the ones that are on the periphery, like Caitlin and Nicole, and I guess she's not really on the periphery, but Sarah Levinson, Julie Nagel, taking all of their statements and really trying to ask the question, what are they all saying around the time of the crime? What exactly are they saying? And even though I'm sure when I say that, those of you that know the case, you're thinking, oh, I know what they say. And you probably do. But even after doing this for almost 2 years, I went back today, this very day, and I heard something from Matt McCabe that I never heard. And now it's a really big statement because, again, my own confirmation bias interfered with my ability to be objective on what happened in that house. And that was simply because of my belief that it was just really unlikely that all these people would collude and lie about seeing a police officer die and putting it on an innocent person. And part of what changed my mind on that, just to be really fair to all of you, right? Part of what changed my mind is the fact that, like, yeah, part of what changed my mind is that when I go back and I listen very, very carefully, I know they're lying. I mean, there's no question they're lying. So the question is, Sam, what are the reasons that they could be lying if it's not to protect themselves against the truth, which is they saw what happened or they saw him walk in the house, right? So if you're Sarah Levinson or you're Julie Nagel, right? Well, of course you're going to lie. And that's the other piece. This is the other big piece. And this was all of you looking at your comments, listening to Turtle Boy, going back into some of his old stuff and just randomly picking, news that I wasn't sure about. And that stupid video that came out not that long ago of Jennifer McCabe threatening Tom Beatty at a lacrosse game at the Canton High School. Like, this is a 50-year-old woman, and she's at the Canton High School team. I don't even know if it's a game. Looks like a game. She's screaming, "Go green!" Right? Like, and she's threatening a grown man, and he makes a comment, right? He says to her, "Still got all your people around you," or something to that effect. Like, you're still a bully. And then he says, but for how much longer? For how much longer? So we learned about that. We also learned, and this just came out last week, that Karina Kolakithis was directly threatened. We don't yet know how. We don't know what the threat was, but we know that her lawyer reaches out to the defense and who reaches out to the Commonwealth, sends an email and says, "Oh yeah, by the way, Karina was threatened in some way by Jen in April of 2023. So the point is, if you're a local in this town and you don't want trouble, you just want to go about your life, there is no question that the easiest way to do that is to turn a blind eye, say what you have to say on the witness stand when you're called to testify, and that's it. Say nothing to anyone, right? And that's exactly what these people have done. And then the last thing that was really helpful, of course, was the clip that you saw in the open of Julie Nagel in front of Chris Albert's pizza shop with the crew at that time when Aiden and his ex-girlfriend are walking out of C.F. McCarthy's, and they get into that whole thing with Jill Daniels, who is Julie Albert's sister or whatever. So when you put all these pieces together, it's very clear that, yes, the people in that house would lie for the Alberts. No question. So what I did was I put together a comprehensive, it's not even done. I'm working on it, but you guys will get to see like the sneak peek tonight. So we're going to start with the Corey Richin stuff, because I can't wait to show you. I'm super excited about that. And then we're going to switch gears, and I'm going to present to you the words and statements of the House defendants and co. And I will also tell you it's not finished. So there's people missing. I'll tell you right now, there's some important people that didn't make it yet because I ran out of time. But wait until you see this. When you start to put their words together, back to back to back to back, and you ask a very simple question: what happened when you got there? What happened inside that house? Guess what happens? Nobody answers the question. It's pretty weird given that this is the exact time that a man loses his life. And there's some really interesting kind of details there that I cannot wait to share with you. So, with that, let me turn my attention to you guys for a bit. How is everybody? Hopefully, some of you are watching enough of this Corey Richins, or at least tracking it loosely to be interested in what we're going to see right now. We're going to take a look at the body cam video. And I am going to point out, of course, the indicators of deception. And I'm going to ask you to do the same. What do you think about what you see? Does this seem believable? Does this seem like a woman who had nothing to do with whatever happened to her husband, who legitimately wakes up and finds her husband dead? And if I had more time, I would add the 911 call, because even though it's only a few sentences, it is important. But we'll look at that. You can watch the video I did on that, and we'll talk about that if we need to. So, hello, Kat Randall. We are back. I believe you have been a member before, but welcome back. And if not, then welcome. But I know you. Which reminds me, you're so glad that this reminded me of. So what I'm thinking, guys, and I have an idea for members, and I think what we will do, and Denise, don't let me forget about this so we can get the date lined up or nailed down. I want to do, and this came vis-a-vis Casey, so shout out to you, Casey, who gave me the idea or suggested we do some kind of like workshop where we come together and we try to brainstorm about what we think could have happened. And you guys can bring your theories. Some of you, a lot of you, have done some serious work on this case. You can bring all of that and we can come together and share our ideas. What happened? And see if we can't put it together, because that is, of course, challenging each other, thinking outside of the box. This is how we are going to put it all together. Hello, Rudy. Rudy sends $10. Here's a question for you all. Do you think that they could have attached the cell phone to a dog's harness to be covering those steps and distances? Crazy, but doable. So you are not the first person to mention to me that the dog and the cell phone were connected somehow. It's certainly a lot more, the steps starts to make a lot more sense, right? 432 steps in 7 minutes or whatever it is. It's an incredible number of steps. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're watching them and you start counting each step, you realize, like, you know, this is too small of an area to get to that high of a count, of a step count. To me, the answer is no, simply because that dog, to me, is not on that property anymore. I don't think the dog is there. And the reason I don't think the dog is there is because we already know. In fact, Brian Albert himself verifies, actually tells us while he's testifying on cross-examination. And he says a lot. Brian Albert's testimony is lengthy. He's a big talker. He tells us so much. It's easy to forget little details about what he says. And one of the things he tells us is that the dog actually was barking substantially earlier on this night because of the people in the house. I don't know if he told, if that was something he said to the grand jury, to the feds, but he put that somewhere. And Alan Jackson calls him on it during the first trial. So we know that this dog was not a quiet dog. It's, you know, some dogs, I had a friend once who sent their dog to like special training. This was a chocolate lab, so it was not a German Shepherd, but this dog was like a person. I mean, they were so well behaved. You could put a steak in front of them and they wouldn't move unless the owner said, you know, that you could. It was crazy. It was like not okay. I felt bad for this dog. Like, you're not supposed to be this well trained. But that's not what we're dealing with. I mean, we already know that it verified by Brian Albert that this dog was barking, and we don't hear anything. We don't hear a peep. We would hear that dog. That dog would be making noise. It'd be going crazy because, as you know, this kind of breed, its only job for hundreds of thousands of years was to alert its owner of possible danger, threat detection, right? So that's what it does. It's what it does incredibly well. And to me, there's no way we don't hear that dog that morning. If it's in the house alive, we would hear it. So I don't know if the phone is at the house and it's showing up that it's on or near 34 Fairview Road at that morning, during the morning. So this is the 6:04 and beyond time. So we're really looking at, because at some point it makes its way to the police station. So we're really looking at covering between 6:04 and like 8:30. That's a very loose estimate. That's an approximation, but we know that the phone is in or around the house at that time. Then I can't imagine it's the dog, because we would hear the dog, right? Dog cannot be at that house. It's very weird, you guys, the whole steps thing, even if, and so this is what I'm thinking, maybe the phone is being handed to different people, right? Like, so the phone starts out, let's say, Brian Albert starts moving it at 6:04 because he wants it to make it look like the girls find the phone. Fine. So he starts moving the phone. Then maybe he hands it to Lank when Lank comes in. Well, the problem is none of those times really match up. And then, and this is even weirder, then there actually is a phone in Seraph's cruiser that's mysterious, that nobody knows, that Steve Seraph thinks is actually John's phone. So the whole thing it's a big, crazy mystery. I have absolutely no idea. At this point, it's totally stumped me. I cannot figure out what the hell is going on with this phone in the morning. It's like maddening. I really want Lank to have the phone. Like, I really do. I think that's just like the perfect part of the story. It makes so much sense. It really fit emotionally, but it doesn't seem to line up technically. That's the problem. But you guys, you know what? With these phones, the thing is, I'm not a cell phone expert. I wish I was, just for this case, so that I could be definitive about what causes steps and what doesn't. And I mentioned this before, I even thought about going and getting a cell phone, an iPhone 11, because they're pretty cheap these days. That was a while ago now, right? So you can get one for like $140. That's what I saw. I didn't actually explore it, heavily. But I said, you know what? Maybe I can just grab an iPhone 11, hopefully not upgrade the software, and try to play with it and see what happens. Like, how can we make steps happen on this phone? I mean, might not be a bad idea, because to me, how else? I mean, look, that's what Ian Whiffin's doing. Basically, right? He's putting his phone in the freezer. I mean, that's what they do, these guys. They experiment with the phone. So maybe that's what we should do too. Yay. Kat Randall gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Kat. That's amazing. It looks like it went to Joy Whitelaw. Welcome, Joy Whitelaw. Yay. Welcome to our little club. We're very excited to have you. Let's see. Let me hear one more, Marie. One more. At CC Headband Cupcake Leonard. I love you. Member for 4 months. Love your channel. So grateful for you. I am very grateful for you as well. You are an inspiration. Thank you for all your hard work, and including all of us. You are so welcome. And thank you so much for being a member for 4 months. You guys are truly the best. All right. So let's get to some of this body cam. All right. I'm going to pull it up right now. Here we go.
What's your first name?
All right. So let me set the scene. It is 3:00 in the morning, I think, right? Yeah, it's 3:00 in the morning. Is that right? I'm not sure the exact time. It might be on here. It's sometime between 3 and 5 a.m. It's not 3. It's sometime between 3 and 5, maybe even inching closer to 5. So she has called 911. The police show up, and they are pulling her, it looks like for the first time, out of the marital bedroom where Eric is, his body is. And the EMS now are in there working on him. And the officer is shepherding her out into the hallway outside of the bedrooms in this bedroom area of the home. That's what we're about to see. Hopefully you can hear it.
Yeah, let me talk to you out here for a second. Let them do their work in there. So what happened today?
So he says, so what happened today? So what happened today? She's hard to hear, so you may have to read the things on the bottom to hear. So she says, I don't know.
When you say we were fine, what?
He was fine. We were fine. And then he says, and when you say we were fine, what time? This is important. So remember to pay attention to the question. What time did you see him when he was alert? So the question that he asked is, when did you last see him alert? Because they're trying to figure out, like, what was the time of death, right?
What time did you see him when he was alert?
We had a drink together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. You know what? I think I have the wrong. Let me check something really quick. I think I might have pulled up the wrong video. I have 2 of these. Let me double check to make sure I pulled up the right file on this. So I think I was writing on that one. I can. Yeah, I think this might be it. Let's see.
What's your first name? Yeah, let me talk to you out here for a second. Let them do their work in there. So what happened?
Sorry, guys. Let me get rid of this. Remove from studio. Let me add this. One more try. And if not, I'll just go with the one we have right here. Let's see if this is different.
What's your first name? Yeah, let me talk to you out here for a second. Let them do their work in there. So what happened today?
He was just fine. We were fine.
When you say we were fine, what time did you see him when he was alert?
We had a drink together.
Okay. So there's already been a few, small flags, small deception indicators, but there's so much here. This is a very lengthy video. To try to go and point out every single one would take us a very, very long time. So I want to jump to the bigger things. The first bigger indicator of whether or not, and what we're trying to decipher, and this is really my question for all of you guys. This is really, I could go either way. I mean, I will give you my analysis at the end, but I could see it either way. I could see it. Okay, fine. She didn't do this. She has her problems. Certainly. She may not have she might not have the greatest values or whatever, however you'd want to say it. She's incredibly superficial. She is arrogant and to a fault, right? So this is a person who comes from pretty humble means and now is, closing on $1 million deals, flipping homes. And it appears like this may be, I don't know if going to her head is really the right way to say it, but it appears like it's not helping. It's not helping things. Like she's very, very superficial. So there's that. That doesn't make her a murderer, right? So it's also very clear that the family is devastated. And these are just like good, wholesome people, right? I mean, you feel for these people. You feel for this father when you see him in this courtroom. You feel for the sister, and they really believe that Corey killed him. So this is, one of those situations where you could certainly see it. It could go either way. I could see it from the family's perspective, and I could see it from the perspective of a woman who isn't guilty, but you could certainly make a case for why it looks like she is. So the question I'm asking you is, when you hear this, do you feel emotion? Do you feel sad for her? Like, what do you feel as you're watching and kind of taking this in? So keep that in mind. And note any kind of shady things that you see as we go along. So the first indicator, and of course, I'm learning this more and more, the question is so important. So he's asking a question about, when was the last time you saw him alert? So when was he awake? And she's giving us extra information. So it seems to me like what is happening is that this is rehearsed. And the reason why this part about having a drink together that we're going to hear is coming up now is because she's connected that to the timeline. So he asked about time. She goes off and starts talking about celebrating a work thing. And it seems like she's kind of gone off. But actually, the reason why it seems that way is because to her, this is how she's rehearsed the night's sequence of events.
Together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to play this from the beginning.
And did you see him when he was alert?
We had a drink together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow.
Okay.
We went to bed. I went to bed with my kids. He went to bed in our bed.
What time did you guys?
Okay, so this is another big mistake. She makes this mistake a number of times, you guys. This one was a big one. I don't know if you caught it. It's quick. This goes so fast. You really have to pay such close attention to catch it. So I'm going to play this again. See if you catch what I'm talking about.
We had a drink together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow.
Okay.
We went to bed. I went to bed with my kids. He went to bed in our bed.
What time did you guys?
Okay. So we went to bed. I went to bed with my kids. He went to bed in our bed. So the big flag there is I went to bed with my kids. My kids. Now, not our kids. Not our kids. So that seems small, like no big deal, but it is an indicator of what? The fact that she feels, without even thinking, these are my kids, not his kids, my kids. So that's important. She's talking about her husband actively right now. She knows to say our bed. He went to bed in our bed, but she doesn't catch or doesn't think much of saying my kids. If you weren't aware of the situation, you might even think that her kids are separate from their kids. She has kids that she came into the relationship with because of how many times she does this. So pay attention for that.
You guys go to bed?
9:30.
9:30? Okay.
9:45.
And then what alerted you to him today, right now?
Yeah, when I just woke up. When I sleep with my kids, I'll just wake up and I go back in my own bed.
Mm-hmm.
I just crawled over on his side.
Okay, so there's a lot there. I'm going to play it one more time from the beginning, see if you can catch anything.
Right now?
Yeah, when I just woke up. When I sleep with my kids, I'll just wake up and I go back in my own bed.
Mm-hmm.
I just crawled over on his side.
And he was laying in bed? Okay.
Okay, one more time. Watch this again. I love when she does like the little speeches. They're so helpful.
Okay.
9:45.
And then what alerted you to him today, right now?
Yeah, when I just woke up. When I sleep with my kids, I'll just...
All right, so we have a just. I just woke up. I. So we have several eyes. We have several eyes. We have I just woke up. I don't know what happened. And then she starts talking, when I sleep with my kids, I'll just wake up and I go back in my own bed. So obviously, this woman is more narcissistically focused. Now, one of the big questions, and I know you guys are going to catch this. I know you guys are going to catch this. One of the big questions that came up when you go through and watch this whole thing is, well, I'll wait because we're too early. Let me make a note of it and see what you think when we get closer. Put a pin in that. Keep going.
Wake up and I go back in my own bed. I just crawled over on his side.
And he was laying in bed? Okay.
He was on his back.
So what she was just saying, she was speaking about what she generally does. And we know that's a huge indicator, right? When you ask somebody what happened 10 minutes ago and they start talking about how they generally behave, that's a big problem. That's evasion. And what she's doing is she's trying to paint a picture because lying is so hard to do that we'll go to pretty much any length to not have to be directly lying. So she's essentially lying by painting a picture without having to say, this is where I was, this is what I was doing, right? Because that's a direct lie. So she's saying, okay, I mean, he was on his growing. He's talking about the positioning of his body.
On the bed, and I
Okay. And he was on, you said he was on his back? Okay. Where are your children now?
went to sleep in that room. Two are awake with their ear to the door. I go out, I'm gonna come out, please don't make them come out.
Where are the other two?
All right, so wait, we're going to play this part again. So he's asking about the children.
Awake?
No, away bedroom.
And where's that at?
Sorry, let me just... Here we go.
Okay. Where are your children now?
Went to sleep in that room. Two are awake with their ear to the door. I go out, I'm gonna come out, please don't make them come out.
Where are the other two at that are awake?
No, away bedroom.
And where's that at?
So she's saying, please don't make them come out. I don't want them to come out. Please don't make them come out. Now, this is interesting, right? This is interesting. Like, please don't make them come out. Please don't make them come out. So I really thought about this. Now, really think about this. You lose your spouse. This is the thing that ultimately sealed the deal for me on Corey Richins. Well, this is one of the things that really sealed the deal. But the question as we go through this, the question you want to ask yourself is, if this is me, how would I feel about my children? Now, on one hand, it's understandable. You just lost your husband. It's understandable that you might feel like, I can't deal with the kids yet. I'm not ready for that, right? I'm not ready to handle, telling the children and being able to be present and available for them. Okay. So that's one side of the argument. We'll keep going.
Who was there first when you left?
Okay. Is there any family members we can call right now?
Yeah, I need to call my mom. I need to call my mom so bad.
Okay.
I think I don't know. 911's on the phone. I don't know.
Here. Okay.
I call my mom.
Yep. I'll give you a phone right now, okay?
I need to call his dad. He's gonna be okay, right? Like I got.
Okay, this is a huge problem, guys. So she says she's got to call her mom real bad. Then she mentions calling Eric's dad. And then the next thing she says, which is so odd, he's going to be okay, right? Like, what? What do you mean he's going to be okay? So let's this is where the 911 call is really important. First of all, she does not call 911 right away. There's a chunk of time, and I don't know exactly what that chunk is. I'm not sure if we're able to pin down the exact amount of time. I think I heard 8 minutes in one assessment, but obviously she's known he was dead for a lot longer than that. But let's just go with, okay, assuming she's innocent, she doesn't call 911 right away. And when she does call 911, she sounds just like this. There's no urgency. It's not like, oh my God, my husband's cold. Please get here. He's not breathing. Like, that's not the tone. It's just like this. It's like a little girl who is overwhelmed with sadness, grief, who has accepted that her partner, her husband, is dead. I mean, he's cold to the touch. So the fact that she mentions Eric's dad, then says he's going to be okay, right? Which is absurd. And then does not wait for an answer, but does the Wendy Adelson thing where she just keeps talking, starts giving us way too much information, way more information than was asked for, keeps blowing past the answer to the question. So now we're starting to, this is all, now the indicators are starting to like compound. And we're not even at the like big ones yet. So you're starting to see where we're headed here.
I call my mom.
Yep. I'll give you a phone right now, okay?
I need to call his dad. He's gonna be okay, right? Like I got in bed and then I just got.
Yeah, they're doing their best, okay, ma'am? Here, you can use my phone.
So something about Eric's dad completely flips her out. Every time he comes up, she starts panicking, her tone changes, her demeanor changes. Okay, that's interesting. Now again, let's think about that. You know that your partner was very close with their father. You know the father dotes on their son. You know how close they were. Is there any world where you might be thinking, I can't deal with him right now, or start panicking when you start thinking about him specifically, telling him specifically, right? So think about that. So now she's going to call mom.
Mom?
We lost a couple minutes there.
Mom. Mom.
Come to my house, she says.
What's going on? I don't know. Something's wrong with Eric. The police came after us here. It's like, I don't know what's happening. He wasn't breathing. I don't know.
Who?
Eric.
Where's he at?
Where is he at? Where is he at? I'm at my house. So she's like, who? She says, Eric. Where is he at? And her response is, I'm at my house. So now we have my kids, my house.
I'm on my way.
I think my partner found your phone. Is this it right here? Does he have any medical conditions or anything like that?
He has Lyme's disease.
Lyme's disease?
Nothing major, like.
Okay. So no heart problems or anything like that?
No, he just said his chest was hurting when he went to bed, but that's, he doesn't drink enough water, when he gets on the bike downstairs. I don't know, it didn't make sense.
That was an explanatory statement. That's negative.
And then he just said he was really tired because he got his allergy shots yesterday morning.
Okay.
with my son. Thanks so much, you guys.
My son.
And then when
Every time she talks about these children, she says, my son, my kids, my children. Like, that is remarkable. Their father is dead in the master bedroom, 10 feet away from her. And she's talking about her children. And like I said, if I'm the police officer taking this information, I'm trying to figure out, like, are these kids her kids from a different relationship? Because that's how she's talking. At no point does she indicate that these children are his children. It's wild. It's just wild.
did you discover
Wild.
him? What time?
I got my phone. Maybe 3.
About 3.
One point in
Did you
particular,
immediately
I
call
wanted
the
to get to.
911?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got
So he asks, did you immediately call 911? The first question is, what time did you find him? And she kind of hems and haws and says, like, 3. And then he says, did you call 911 right away? And her answer is like, well, right? Well,
Did you immediately call the 911?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got up and, well, as soon as I turned over and he was cold,
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like something was wrong. So, I mean, I just put the blanket on it because I just thought
I just
my
thought,
room's cold. So
I just,
and then I sat there for a minute and I just didn't feel like it's like
Just-
breathing or anything. And so I turned the light on.
Okay.
I turned the light on.
And he just felt so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt so heavy. Let's think about that. What do you mean? He just felt so heavy. So I have some theories about, I think there might be some confessions, some details in here that she's giving us that are details related to what she might have actually done, how she might have given him these drugs. I don't know if it was in the drink. It's possible. But some of the things she says indicates to me that there may have been a different way that she has done it also. So there's a lot in here. There's a lot of indicators in here. Let me play a little bit more, because there's some crushing blows to her in just a minute.
Any COVID or anything like that?
We all just got over COVID.
Okay.
We all positive
And when was that?
a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Now remember, at one point in between March and May, I guess when a search warrant is comes down on the house and she ends up getting kicked out or whatever. I don't know if she was arrested right away, but I think so. But in between March and May, before the medical examiner's ruling comes out, she calls the father and she says, oh, the medical examiner called me and told me that Eric died of COVID and the same thing as his mother, which was a lung mold, some mold in her lungs. So the father hangs up the phone, calls the sister. The sister calls the ME, and the ME is like, we've not heard from Corey, and we haven't finished our ruling yet. So clearly, that was a horrific. I mean, if I'm a juror and I hear that, that is bad news. Does not look good for Corey, right?
So not recently.
Well, he just had a negative test. So he had.
So she says she messes this up. So he just had a negative test. So I was the last positive, and then he had it. right? So that doesn't make sense. She's trying to say that he had it last, but then she ends up telling us that she had it last. And then says his last negative test was a week ago. Right. So this is clearly not true. And what would be the reason why you would lie about whether he has COVID or how recently he has COVID? Because the officer's ready to say, oh, well, that isn't the problem, because he writes it off. And then she's like, well, wait. He was the last one to have it. So she's trying to obviously feed him very subtly causes of death. That's what she's doing. She's feeding him causes of death. It's very subtle, right? And if all of us weren't, very seasoned at this, maybe she gets away with it, because that's her whole MO, guys. This woman is counting on plausible deniability. That is what her whole defense is. And this was 100% in her planning from the very beginning. And I will show you over time all the reasons why I say that.
So his last negative test was a week ago.
Okay. Hey, ma'am, what's your name?
Corey.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Corey.
With a C?
Kouri.
Well, and I see somebody saying he tested positive for COVID. There's no dummy. Right? There's a number, we're going to get into this, but this man was taking naltrexone. And if he was taking naltrexone, it doesn't matter why he was taking naltrexone. People say it's for Lyme. Okay, whatever. Fine. You want to make it for Lyme disease, fine. But it still has the same effect on pain receptors in the brain. And the point is, if you're going to try to overdose somebody on opioids, you definitely don't want that person to be taking naltrexone. So what she tells us here in a minute is that he stopped taking his, quote, medication about a month ago. Now, until we hear verified by the doctor, his doctor, the person that wrote the prescription, exactly what was going on, it's impossible for us to know because we're only going on what she's telling us. But if she's going to have murdered him with an opioid, number one, it was still possible that he would have had naloxone and naltrexone in his system because it stays in your body for a while. That's the whole goal. That's the whole point. And if that's true, it blocks the ability for an opioid to work. So you would have had to have taken an extraordinary amount for it to be lethal. Now, apparently he does take an extraordinary amount. But my point is, she would have known. She had to have known that he had just stopped taking that medication. So my point is, all of these details, he tested positive for COVID, he had just stopped taking his medication, even the allergy test that he had yesterday, all of these things were part of, to me, why she selected the time that she selected it, because she's no dummy. This is not a stupid woman. She really calculated this, and she's playing it all the way out, right? She even writes a book about grief. If that isn't a red flag, by the way, guys, I don't know what is. That's right. That's why he had 5 times. Correct. Right. That's right. You had Lyme. Think about Lyme. Absolutely. She knew exactly how long he had been off it. Exactly. Absolutely. Exactly. So the thing, you guys might know the answer to this, but I don't. On Valentine's Day, I know that it was suspected that she had tried to kill him on Valentine's Day, that even he had mentioned that, I think, to his family, potentially. But the question is, with what? And I guess we just wouldn't know. We don't know what he had taken, right? Because it was a month before. But if he had been taking the naltrexone, I can't imagine that she would have made an effort to use opioids. You have to really be dumb, and this woman just doesn't seem that at all. She seems very calculated. I mean, so far, guys, the entire defense strategy is plausible deniability. I mean, that is what they are suggesting. They're suggesting that they have an answer for everything, that it's all a big misunderstanding, that the family is just looking for somebody to blame, and she fits the bill because they did not want to accept that he had essentially a drug problem. That's really what they're about to be arguing. He had a drug problem. He didn't want people to know. And that's the reason, right, why he was taking naltrexone. And if that's the reason why there's that outdated hydrocodone bottle, because really he had illicit drugs in that bottle that he, took too much of. That is really their argument. And as far as I am concerned, that is the way that I think they're arguing. And then note here she offers
gummies before he goes to bed.
We eat gummies. Sometimes he'll take a gummy before he goes to bed. Right? Well, here's the problem with that. Now, I heard the medical examiner testify, and I did not hear anything about THC. So if I'm wrong, please tell me, because I was waiting. I'm listening. And I'm going, maybe I missed it. I'm trying to rewind it. Did she say that there was THC in his system? If there is no THC in this man's system, then this claim that the gummies are this big part of his life is asinine. It's silly. It's nonsense. It's totally absurd. And the way that she's framing it, like he has these gummies all over the place, right? He's got hundreds of packets and they're falling out of his work truck and in his sweatshirts and jackets. Thank you. Okay, Spiger. Yes, I see you. Yes. Okay, thank you. No THC. So THC, guys, THC stays in your system the longest. Now, he was a thin guy. It does store in fat cells. So if you're a little heavier, you're more likely to store it for longer. And I've worked with people with astronomical weed habits, crazy amounts of THC in their system. And it would literally take 7-8 months for the THC to get to below 50 so that they could go back to work and, to give you clean urine screens. So THC, even at trace amounts, even if we're just talking about trace amounts, this is an autopsy. This isn't a urine test. This is a very accurate depiction of what was in his system. And we're not even seeing trace THC. And she's telling us, and the defense is framing this like he had this terrible THC habit. And I know that nobody said that exactly, but that's like the thread, right? That's the implication. No THC in this guy's system, guys. That's crazy. And see, here's the thing about, I see Sheila P. recommending they use a hair test. The hair follicle test may not even matter because it seems like he definitely did take THC at some point. I mean, right? It's not an argument about whether he ever took it. It's about whether he was recently taking it enough to make the argument that he would have, popped a gummy and not thought twice about doing so. And then it was laced with fentanyl, which is, I think, what they're, what the lawyers are going to try to paint, right? Cynthia says, "Hi, Cynthia. What's wrong with the book? Wouldn't someone whose spouse died be the perfect person to write a book on grief?" Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad that you asked. So it's not inherently suspicious, but if you're somebody who is going to kill your husband and make it look like you're innocent, right? You've got to ride it all the way out. And so her way of really, in a very bold way, in a forward facing way, to scream to the world, "See, look, I'm a woman who's grieving because I lost my husband. Look at me and my sons every day. We go to sleep writing this book and we talk about dad." And so it's not that a person who's grieving couldn't write a book about their spouse who passed away as part of their grieving process. But if you are somebody who did murder your husband, it's the perfect way to communicate without calling up his parents and saying, "Hey guys, how are you? I'm still grieving over here," right? And screaming out to the world, "See, I really am in grief. See, we really do care about this." That's the reason why. And she's smart. Like I said, she's a smart cookie. This is not a dumb lady. She's somebody who, I mean, she reset the Apple Watch. Like she's not dumb. She's close to getting away with this, but I think in the end she's going to go down for it for sure because she killed. I mean, it's my opinion that she's very much responsible for this, and I will show you precisely what really tipped the scales over the top for me. And look, could I be convinced if there's different evidence that's put forth, definitive evidence, if a doctor comes in and says, "Hey, I treated Eric for his opioid use disorder all last year and he didn't want anybody to know about it," and somebody comes from the cartel and tells us that he was buying fentanyl from him, okay, that's maybe a different story. But I don't think that's what's happening here. And there's a lot more. So hopefully that makes sense. In other words, it's not inherently a reason to be suspect of her, but it's like Jen McCabe making herself a indispensable part of the O'Keefe family's life. In our minds, it's unimaginable that a guilty person would do that. So it's the kind of thing that screams to the world, "See, she must be innocent because, God, nobody would be that horrible of a human being," right? It's that kind of thing. It's just a big presentation to the world that she's a grieving widow. And to me, it tracks with everything else that we know about her. So, and in this case, it's not one thing. You really have to take all of these little tiny indicators, add them all together, and then say, okay. Now, people are commenting, of course, rightfully so, on the crying. Like, are there tears? Is there, it does not appear like there are. But what she's doing is eye shielding. And it took me a long time to really see it. And it wasn't until a little later when the sister shows up and, the boys are moving around through the house, which we're going to take a look at in a minute. I'm going to jump ahead to that because I really want you to see it. It's super important. When we start to see her interfacing with other family members, the mother shows up. So we start seeing her engaging with other people besides just this police officer. And you start to see that she keeps like hanging her head down. She's hiding herself. She's hiding. Now, people that are crying will do that. Like, people think they look terrible when they cry, so they might hide themselves a little bit. But she just lost her husband. So, and that was kind of Katie's point, by the way, on the witness stand. Her whole thing was like, I lost my brother. Like, I didn't care if I had my contacts in. I didn't care how I looked. Like, I just didn't care. And to her, she felt like even under these circumstances, Corey still seemed somewhat put together. Now, I don't know if that part is true or not, but that was Katie's interpretation of Corey.
It didn't seem like you did, though.
It's like a gummy, as in like a THC gummy? Okay.
So she brings it up, and then she says, but it didn't seem like he did, though. So she's, again, offering what could have killed him. She's giving us the list of possibilities.
And who's his primary care physician?
Herb Lovely in person.
Who?
Herb Lovely.
How do you spell it? How's
P-L-E-Y.
L-E-P-L-E-Y?
Let me see, I'll jump ahead a little bit here. There you go. So the family members. So what ends up happening, the police end up going in and telling the kids, the two older kids, that the father has passed away.
That's basically, she said, went to bed at 9:30.
The mother shows up. So the mother is now in the living room, I think, with her. Okay. So we hear from EMS. EMS tells us that they administered Narcan.
Okay.
So they administered naloxone to try to wake him up in the event that this was an opioid overdose, but he was already dead. He'd already been dead for some time. She tells us that he had blood on him. We learn that that happens because if your body stops pumping blood through, your heart stops pumping blood, it pools, and then when you push on the chest, it comes out. It comes, the blood comes out. So he's covered, his face is covered with blood.
All right.
Yeah. Pretty young.
Yeah.
Maybe took some gummies.
Yeah, that's what she
says. Maybe he took some gummies.
Then the hydrocodone. I think there was hydrocodone.
Which just kills me, you guys. These are EMTs. You don't know what naltrexone is. Like, they find 3 bottles of medication and they don't know. You're administering Narcan and you don't know what naltrexone. It's criminal to me. That's insane. Like, you're an EMS worker. Like, anyway, that was crazy to me. The point being, he didn't overdose from hydrocodone. That's the point.
It was 96 or something.
2016.
Doesn't matter how old the hydrocodone.
Did he take that?
We don't know. It was sitting there though.
It's in the drawer right there.
There's some.
And by the way, nobody tests this bottle. Can you believe that? Nobody tests the bottle.
It is.
Impossible.
Is that it? What he's taking for Lyme disease?
Yeah.
Naltrexone.
Turner just looked at it and said it was filled in 2016.
Yeah, that one.
Is that under his name? I think he sleeps on that side of it though.
With what?
I don't know.
That might be hers. Is it in
It's
his
his.
name?
Horrible. Just a horrible,
Okay.
horrible.
But it's empty, right?
Look at this.
Yeah.
Maybe we gave him Narcan. That would have, if you would, search my way in there.
And then you arrived and he was already on the floor. Right?
Yeah, she.
So wait, hey guys, is this bed separated? Are we looking at a bed that has 2? Are those connected in the middle or no? Are those 2 like twin mattresses? That is super odd. Because the reason I bring this up is because she tells Katie, the sister, she's about to say it soon, that she finds out he's dead because she goes to like cuddle up to him in the bed. And that's how she realizes he's cold to the touch, and then she puts a blanket on him. So no, they are two twins that make a king. But you see how it looks like there's like a hole though in the middle? Like it looks like, and maybe it's just the angle that we're at. It looks like they are actually separated but close together. I mean, and the only reason why that would matter is because you wouldn't be able to like cuddle up against him if he's on the other side and there's a hole in the middle. Not that it matters that much. It's not that important of a detail. Just his age.
That might be hers. Is it his name? Oh, it's his. Okay. But it's empty, right? There's nothing in it. Maybe we gave him Narcan. That would have.
And there's no blood.
And then you arrived and he was already on the floor, right?
Yeah, she had pulled him down to the floor.
Corey? I'm going to need to ask you some questions real quick, okay? Has he ever been in the military?
No.
No. Does he use tobacco?
No.
No. And what does he do for a living?
He owns a stone mason company.
Just waiting for the question about illicit drugs. So he asked him.
And then when you discovered him, was he on the bed? Yes.
He was just laying on his side like normal.
Okay.
I just thought he was cold. It was cold in there, so I put the blanket on him.
Yeah.
But his body just felt like heavy, and
And which way was he facing? Was he facing towards?
No, he was just up, just facing up.
Oh, so he's laying on his back. Okay.
He's facing up. Okay.
And then did you pull him to the ground?
Yeah, that's what the lady on the phone told me to do, was to take the sheet and pull the sheet
Okay.
to the ground so I could do CPR.
Okay. What's his highest level of education?
It's a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
My husband's active. He didn't just die in his sleep. This is insane.
Any mental health conditions? No. Okay. How about any suicidal history? No.
Never.
Okay.
No.
Has he been seen by a doctor in the last 30 days?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward here to get closer, but essentially what happens here, just so everybody knows, he asks about prescription drugs in the last 30 days. She says no, but that he had been weaned off of his Lyme disease medication and was just taking vitamins. But that's important because if the Lyme disease medicine was naltrexone, which is the way it looks right now, we need to get that verified by the medical doctor that hopefully will come in and testify. But if that is true, that's not great for Corey, because that means that she was very acutely aware of how long he had been off of this medication that ultimately would make or break. If you're going to poison your husband with opioids, whether it's fentanyl or anything else, he better not have naltrexone in his system. So the fact that she's very aware of when he was weaned off, and she even uses the language weaned, which I think is really interesting. It speaks to an acute awareness of his relationship with this medication. Now, what the defense is going to try to do is say, well, he was on naltrexone. So somebody somewhere must have thought he had a substance abuse problem, because let's face it, these drugs, their utility is for addiction. Any other use of that medication, whether it's for Lyme or for fibromyalgia or nerve pain, is really not yet FDA approved. It's sort of off-label, right? It's doctor trying different things experimentally. So it's really interesting. It'll be very interesting to see how the defense tries to use it in the end. But we're going to jump because I want you to see what happens when the sister shows up. And then just notice what happens here. I think, is this right? Because there's really like one, maybe a few very significant moments.
Number.
Okay. Here we go. They're talking about the allergies and how the mother apparently was at the house last. This is another thing. The mother was at the house the night before, and she says made a point to say that he didn't look good last night, and he was complaining of chest pains. So, again, if I'm Corey, I'm planning to kill my husband, and I'm waiting for the right moment. My mom is here. My mom can verify that he doesn't look good. He looks sick. He wasn't feeling well. These are all little bits of evidence that ultimately you can use, right, for plausible deniability. See, there really was something wrong. It had nothing to do with me. And like I said, she's not done. Okay, I've got to talk to my kids. My kids. Again. Just again, my kids. Not our kids, not his kids, my kids. How crazy is that, you guys? That is so crazy. And you know that pronouns are so important because they're automatic. We're not selecting those. They just come out automatically. All right, let's see. We're on the move. Here's sister.
We don't know. We've been to bed.
Where are the boys?
Clint's here. He's gonna help. Where are my boys?
Listen to this. So, even if I'm trying to be incredibly objective, right? Like when that sister comes in, you hear that like wailing sound and you just like immediately get like a chill. Like you feel that she is in desperate pain. Like this, what? Like she is so upset, right? You feel that. And that's really interesting. It was only, and I told those of you that were here in the beginning, I mentioned that in my research to try to assess how credible Corey was, I went and I listened to people who had lost their spouse, who were grieving, and I listened to their stories. And you can't help but feel emotional. I mean, you are listening to these people who are in deep, desperate pain and suffering. Immediately, it brings tears to your eyes. And then it dawned on me that as I'm listening to her, never for a single moment did I feel that way. There was never a time where I'm listening to her and I'm feeling like overwhelming sad. You just don't get it, right? That's important. Does it mean she's guilty of murder? No, but it's important. It's information that we have to pay attention to.
Where's my brother?
Oh, and the other thing the sister does, like immediately, where's the kids? Where are the children? And this was what got me starting to think more about her behavior and what really is incredibly suspect about her behavior on this morning. Was sort of the icing on the cake for me. I'm getting close.
Corey, is there a way we could relocate your boys upstairs? Because there's going to be a lot of traffic.
Well, she hasn't gone near them to this point, right? She hasn't gone near the kid. Still don't go near the kid.
Mom, they want all the kids upstairs.
He says, Mom, they want the kids upstairs. She's avoiding her son. She's avoiding him. She's avoiding her son.
I can explain to her if you want to go.
I miss everything. Chris, Will, everything. I miss parent attorney. I miss everything.
And we don't have to
Go
worry about
upstairs.
that kind of stuff right now.
With the boys. Go upstairs with the boys. Okay.
I tell you, her husband is solid man.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all natural, okay? Just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
No. Terrible. My brother just like, right? My brother. So look at Corey, eye shielding, literally covering her eyes.
Oh my God, I couldn't breathe. I just talked to him like a couple hours ago.
Everything was
He wasn't
fine.
breathing. I went to bed. I went back to bed. He's having nightmares. So I went back in our room and I was breathing.
You see what she's doing here? She's explaining her
And I just
behavior.
turned over to cuddle him and he fought.
She's explaining her behavior. She's not explaining what happened to Eric. She's saying what she did, where she was, and then she gave us a reason why she was there. And that is really, though, I mean, think about it. Really think about it. If you're calling 911, if you're recounting to the sibling of the man who just died, who gives a shit about you? Right? We're not here to talk about you. Like, we're here to talk about him. She wants to know what happened to him. So the conversation would be, okay, I walked in, I saw him, he was pale, he was cold, I didn't know what to do. I tried to turn him over, I tried to give him the CPR. Like, you're talking about his condition, not that you were somewhere else and
He was just so cold. He's been gone a while.
So the only information I know from what the medical staff that was here is he was cold to the touch, okay, and it seemed like he was down for a while.
He was down for a
He was
while.
fine at 9:30.
So this is
that's
interesting.
When I went to the bedroom.
When we went into bed, he was fine at 9:30. It's like, yeah, I'm sure he was, right? He probably was fine at 9:30.
With Ashton,
And that's when I went into the bedroom
So
with
unless he
Ashton.
went, I didn't hear
So she's giving us her timeline.
anything. I didn't even yell. He didn't say anything was wrong. Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Like nothing happened. So something happened. Because like nothing happened. And what do we know about like? If something is like something else, then it's not that thing. So something happened.
Oh my God, this is not real. Nothing happened. I didn't hear anything. And right across the room, if he was in pain, why didn't he yell? It sounds like
She's speaking in negative statements, right? These are explanatory statements framed in the negative.
he wasn't. I know, but I'm such a light sleeper. I couldn't have heard anything. I just couldn't have heard anything. If he just said Corey, I would have woke. And he was so cold. He was so cold. I lost my brother.
I lost my brother.
My mom said that they already know.
I can't talk to them. I can't go talk to them. Okay. I really want you to think about this. I can't go talk to them. All right. Now, here's where things get really, really tough, right? And if you have been in the unfortunate situation where you lost somebody, because it's true that everybody deals with grief differently. But if you lost somebody that you love, okay, and he's the father of these 3 little boys in this house with you right now, they're the closest thing. The 50% of them came from him, the man you love, right? So if you had nothing to do with it, and so there's no need to feel guilty, you didn't kill him. Now, do people organically often blame themselves in some irrational sense? Of course. Of course, there's so many emotions, like, they're coming, and there's, like, I'm sure even the sister on this morning was like, "Oh my god, I just talked to him, I should have," like, she'll find a way to blame herself, but she'll cycle through these different emotions, right? That's what we do when we're grieving, we cycle through emotions. But the fact that she can't face her children is really important. I mean, that is what she's saying. What she's telling us is, I can't face them. Now, when I was going back, and I'm not going to put you guys through it because it's really painful to watch, and it's hard to watch other people in active grief talking about their loved one. One of the themes that came up in my hour-long investigation of people who had recently experienced the loss of a spouse, partner, their lover, that they felt better when they were in the company of other family or people that also felt close to that person, right? Like, whether they were siblings or friends, but also felt some version of that loss, right? Because there's that connection to that person that you lost that you love. Now, you have 50% of your son's genes came from their father. So if this is somebody that you miss in an overwhelming way, and you felt very close to, and we already know that's not true because these are her children, not their children. So we already know that's not the case, right? And now, of course, we have other information. She had a boyfriend, and she's texting that man that she wants to run away with him and start over and take the kids and just disappear, right? So we know all of that. But even without that information, we can see that these are her children. She does not see them as his children, which is unbelievable. So what's really happening here, instead of wanting to go to the boys and just be near them and hug them and squeeze them and love on them because they're the closest thing you're ever going to get to Eric. Those are his sons, right? Instead of bringing them close, she wants no part of it. That, to me, is a strong indicator of guilt. And that's just the first one, but there's another one, and this one to me is like the icing on the cake that kind of seals the whole thing. And again, it's not any one of these things, but when you start adding all these things up, it starts to become overwhelming that the evidence is that she absolutely had something to do with this death.
Okay, to make it through this somehow. I don't know if we're gonna make it through it.
So if we're gonna make it through for the boys, we have to for those boys. Great question, Penelope. Penelope asks, what does it mean when she answers the officer's questions? She won't look at him. So that's called eye shielding. And what it means a number of things, but what it means is it's deception. It's like, I don't want to see what this person's reaction is going to be to what I'm saying. So the reason why people eye shield, people do it while they're testifying, right? I'm sure you've seen that. When they're lying, even if they keep their eyes closed like an extra second, so they're not blinking. It's like an active keeping the eyes closed. You know, well, a lot of people do it, but they will do it when they answer a question that, like, for example, that they know that during cross-examination, they're probably going to get destroyed, that the attorney is going to go nuts with their answer. So people will eye shield because they don't want to see how they are being reacted to. And that's exactly what she's doing the entire time. She's eye shielding as she walks around her own house. She's eye shielding from the sister. She's eye shielding from all the police, the EMS workers, from the sons, her own children, because she does not want to see how her performance is being received. So that's why eye shielding is such a indicator of deception. Now, people do cover their eyes for other reasons. As I said, they don't like the way they look when they cry, or, it's common knowledge that we hang our head in shame. But that's all part of it, right? The shame that she's feeling is so overwhelming that she can't even pick her head up to walk around the house. When she does stand up and start walking, she then covers her eyes. So she picks up her head because she has to, because she's walking. And then she covers her eyes so she can't see out of the periphery. It's crazy. It's a good question. So crazy. But you'll see, if you start paying close attention, you'll note it's like such a solid indicator. People do it like clockwork when they are deceptive, because they don't want to see how whoever they're talking to is going to receive what they're saying. And so what that means, just in case that isn't entirely clear, it's an indicator of consciousness of guilt, meaning I have information that I feel exposed by. Like, I feel like everybody can see through me. They can't. People only can see what we allow them to see. But if you're carrying something that you don't want people to know, it's so difficult, because this kind of lying is so hard to do. And she's not doing a tremendous job. She's kind of getting away with it because people will say things like, well, everybody grieves differently, right? Because EMS is so trained. Professionals like myself are so trained to say that, to think that, you do have to be aware of that, right? You do have to keep that in mind too. But again, with her, it's not one of these things. It's not just the eye shielding. It's the huge enormity of every little thing. When you start adding it all together, at the end of the day, it's like, wow, there's a lot of evidence here, and it does not look good for her. We didn't get into the wag the dog, or walk the dog letter. Like, there's a lot of evidence here that she was being deceptive about a lot of things. One more massive indicator.
I can't see your back. I can't talk to you.
Okay, so I'm going to rewind this. Katie says, something about her dad. So let's hear what she's saying. Something about her dad. Now, Eric is obviously incredibly close to his father. His father has a grant. They lost their mother a few years earlier, I think, maybe 2 to 3 years earlier, if I'm not mistaken. That might be a little off on that, but I don't think it was that long before this.
I can't see your back. I can't talk to you.
Okay, so she says dad is probably going to go. And Corey says, I can't see your dad. I can't talk to your dad. I I'm sorry. So once again, we see a panic. This happens earlier when she starts thinking about calling his dad. Same thing. She goes from sad and like, and then all of a sudden it's pressured speech, like fear. Fear is what she's experiencing. This continues, though. Let's keep listening here. I can't.
We just have to look it up. What do we have to do?
What's that?
Is there anything that we need to do?
So we're just going to document some. So there's some protocols we have to document. Like I explained to them, the next thing is our detective and our medical examiner is going to respond to the location. Okay. They're going to do their investigation.
The sister's
and
going
document
into like
everything.
business mode. What
And
do I
then
have
most
to do?
likely, because of his age, his health and everything else,
To do autopsy.
most likely. But that's their that's their field, not ours. So for us, our thing is now we have to just secure the scene until they get here, and then once it's released, it's up to them. And then most likely, you guys will be able to,
I told the guy that.
So it's also clear to me, you guys, that some of the reason why the shoddy investigation happened is because a lot of these investigators, they seem very uncomfortable with like the emotions and the family. This guy's clearly stumbling, does not feel comfortable being in the middle of this scene. I don't know why they didn't, like ask them to go somewhere or move them at least into a different part of the house. I think there's like a full kitchen downstairs. I don't know. They probably should have tried to cordon them off into a different area so that they could have done their jobs, but I guess hindsight.
We went to the funeral home in Oregon.
Okay. And that's something you could talk to our medical examiner
But
about.
you'll note we're now like 40 minutes through this, right? This cop is running his body cam for 40 minutes. She has not gone near the children. She hasn't gone near the children at all.
I mean, they take so all the time.
There might be one more thing, but I think that pretty much those are the big ones. So for me, listen, when we love somebody, and that's a special kind of pain. When you lose somebody that you deeply, desperately love, that you have children with, right? I mean, anyone that you deeply love and care for and feel the heavy loss of. Connecting with other people who shared that love is a way to feel better. In fact, that's why all over the world, people come together for funerals and wakes and shivas and all of the different types of services, celebrations of life, in whatever cultures. The whole process of losing a loved one is to come together communally. And that's because that's how people overcome grief, by being with other people. That connection that we feel, that we share about our feelings about the person that we lost, right? And what you see here is that Corey is doing the opposite. She wants no part of being near the kids. She cannot face the father. She keeps saying that. She actually says that. I cannot face him. I can't deal with him. And to me, that's somebody who is carrying an insane amount of guilt to the point where she's walking around her own home, shielding her eyes. So she can't see what the people around her, how the people around her are reacting to her. You know, if this was if she really loved Eric, this was really her husband who she loves. And I know they had problems, and that's not a secret. But this was still her husband. The father would be the biggest ally. That's the man. The father is the person that you would want to go to, because the father is the one who she knows is carrying the incredible pain. That's why her instinct is to want to tell the father first, but also why she's terrified of him. Why the only times we see her mood change is when she brings up the father. Oh God, I can't deal with him. I can't deal with him. I can't face him, right? So those are incredibly large indicators for me. Those are the ones that that elevated the level of deception, because what are the other reasons besides guilt that you wouldn't want to face your children or face the father of the man who just died, your husband? And they've been together for a while. I mean, they have 3 children, right? The oldest is 9. Is that right? Right. So I don't know if all of that makes sense, but this is pretty crazy. And it's crazy because, listen, if she really did love Eric and really wanted the best for her children, his children, this family could have been incredible allies. I mean, all she had to do was go be close to the father, curl up in a ball in his arms. And he was so vulnerable. He was so emotional because he just lost his son who he absolutely adored. That would have been the way, forget about writing a book about grief. Like, that would have been the way to heal. Go to the ranch, put your sons on horses, which is what they used to do with their dad, right? But that's not what she does. What she does is the opposite. She starts immediately separating herself, which opens the door for the family to start to suspect her. It's that very over the top, like those indicators of shame and guilt that are probably what already in this scene, Katie's already picked up on. She's not going near the children. She won't go near my father. And the father eventually, he shows up soon after this, and we know that because he testifies to it. He shows up, and the father says, I don't even think she came over to me at any point that morning. Right? And there's no body cam of that because she didn't go near him. So these are pretty big ones to me. These are pretty big ones. These were the things, guys, So that's a really good point, Karen. I'm glad you said that. I am absolutely not assuming that she had a good relationship with the dad. Not at all. Because that's the whole point, right? So when you don't have to have any relationship. In fact, you could really dislike each other actively. But because of the fact that the reason that they would have disliked each other would have been differences of opinion about Eric, right? Like the father wanted one thing for him and she wanted something else, right? Whatever. But if you lose somebody that you love that's shared, it doesn't even matter. Like all that stuff just kind of falls away because now every time, because relationships in our brain are very specific and they're unique. They're intense. This is the reason why, like, when you haven't seen a good friend, let's say, my best friend from high school, we met when we were in the 5th grade. And we weren't always friends from 5th grade through high school, but from 9th grade to 12th grade, we were best friends, inseparable. Now, this is freaking many, many, many decades later. 25 years later. I don't even know how long it's been. Well, I guess it'll be 30 years since we graduated. Could that be? Maybe is that right? I think so. Maybe I'm not quite that old. I don't remember. I can't think about it right now. 20 years? I don't know. Anyway, a long time ago, one way or the other. No matter how long that goes by, as soon as I see her face, no matter what, as soon as she starts talking to me, my brain like recognizes her. And all of a sudden, like I'm a different person. I'm the person that I am specifically and solely when I'm with her, right? So relationships are these very unique interactions that the brain that map onto your brain. That's why time doesn't really matter when it comes to relationships. That's why you could leave a relationship, not see somebody for 10 years and not skip a beat when you see them again, because your brain doesn't forget them. Really, it doesn't. But if you lose somebody that you love, and the only thing you have in common, in fact, you could hate each other, but the thing that you have in common is you both feel intense, desperate grief for the person that is lost. All of a sudden, when you lay eyes on, when that father lays eyes on Corey, if she had genuinely felt grief and loss around Eric, that father feels closer to Eric because Corey was his wife. So even though they didn't have a good relationship, it still makes the father feel closer to Eric. And the same thing would be true with Corey and the father, because the only reason she knows the father is through Eric. So that's the point. The point is that when you are grieving the loss of somebody you love, even if you did not have any relationship at all, or a very negative relationship, in fact, with the person that you know through that, the person that you lost, the fact that you share in the pain of the loss is enough to help you heal and recover from the loss. That's the important thing. Because of the fact that relationships are like associative maps in the brain, just being around Eric's dad would make you feel closer to Eric. And even if you didn't like Eric's dad, it's better than nothing, because he's gone and all you want is a piece of that. Like you miss them, right? You miss them so much. All you want is to keep them alive a little longer in your memory, in your experience. So that's kind of my point. My point is that if this was really like grief, and by the way, keep in mind something really important. This woman goes on to write a book in the year that is to follow about grief. So she's telling us that that's what she was experiencing: overwhelming grief and loss. And that's my point. If that was true, then what we typically would do, because we're not responsible for the death, of course, is we would try to find any way, any little way that we can bring that person back to life. And I mean, going to the ranch and being with the dad and the sister, there's no better way. I mean, that's, taking the boys over there and even if the only thing that you have in common is Eric, and even if it wasn't a good relationship, it's a way to keep Eric alive because you share in that grief. So, I mean, it can really bond people just because you share in the love for somebody. That's the point. That's why I don't think they probably did have a good relationship before, but they were very suspicious of her right from the start, obviously. And, it appears like they may have had a good reason. It appears like they may have had a good reason. CC Headband Cupcake Launer said 9 cents, $9.99. Chat housekeeper told investigators first time she supplied Corey with fentanyl pills was just a couple days before Valentine's Day. Is this true? So sad to think this wasn't her first attempt. Those poor children. So here's the thing. This is the thing, and I don't know enough. This is the part that I'm not sure about, and I think this has to come out in trial. So originally, what I heard from pretrial motions going back and forth, and again, I don't know if this is true because I didn't follow it play by play, was that the housekeeper originally told the cops that it was a different drug, that it wasn't fentanyl, that it was something else. And so the defense is trying to say, and again, I don't know if this is true, is trying to say that she originally told them something else And when they threatened her and said, look, you've already got drugged, you're already on probation for drugs. You know, we now know that you gave the pills that killed Eric, so we could put you in prison for the rest of your life. You better give up whatever you gave to Corey. In other words, the defense is going to say that they put pressure on her, which made her confess to something that didn't happen. And because the story was different the first time, it evolved or whatever. That's kind of the whole story. So as far as whether or not that's true, I don't know that we know, because even if that housekeeper did say that, the defense is saying it doesn't matter what she said because she can't be trusted. I do think she's going to testify from what I have heard. Now, I don't know for sure. Of course, we don't know for sure. But if that is true, then we'll find out. I mean, we'll be able to gauge her credibility for ourselves. Alessis Fantabulous Lexicon says, after my father died, I shut down. I didn't want to remember anything or be consoled. It was just too painful. I just completely shut it down. I was so angry my father was taken from me. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, right? Anger is a really, yeah, I mean, it's a very natural response. Like, yeah, it's infuriating, right? And everybody kind of reacts differently. So it's so natural to want to shut everybody out. In fact, and I've talked about this many times before, evolutionary psychologists believe that grief is the reason why our propensity and need for grief in order to go through the cycle of loss is the reason why depression is possible in the human experience. That those receptors that ultimately are responsible for depression, or in other words, are active during depression, not created by, but active when somebody's depressed, are there because we have a need to grieve, to go through the natural healing process of loss, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword, because the fastest, and I don't want to say fastest as though we got to do this now, but one, scientifically validated fact, the more that we are connecting to other people, the more we sort of are able to move through loss. I don't want to say easily, but more quickly, more easily, in a probably expected time frame, to the best of what's possible, right? But having said that, of course, our natural instinct is to shut everybody out. And that's the kind of catch-22. I've heard people saying that they couldn't even pick up the phone to talk to another person. They're so overwhelmed with grief and anger and sadness. Like, they just want to avoid and do anything but communicate with the outside world. And yet communication with the outside world ends up being the facilitator to recovery, or not recovery, but reconciliation, right? Moving through it in a way that some people make their peace with in the end, right? So you're absolutely right. I think this is a pretty natural response to especially untimely loss, right? Or loss that we don't see coming, but really any loss. So I think you're absolutely right. But I don't think we're seeing anger here. What I think we're seeing is guilt. Like, you're not, this person is hiding. She's not avoiding, she's hiding. There's a difference, right? Like, avoiding is like, leave me alone. I just need to process this myself. But this woman feels, she gets actively terrified at the thought of interfacing with Eric's dad. It's like, whoa, what is that? What just happened there? That's the difference. So, and I don't know that we see anger at all, but it's early. I mean, I don't know that we would see anger yet. This would be shock. This is sort of the phase of stunned disbelief. And there are other things like, and we didn't go through this. I didn't talk about the 911 call. There are a bunch of other things that also led me to conclude that she's responsible for this. Not only her reaction here, because as I said, everybody can react to grief in different ways. There's so many indicators with her. It's so here, and let me just give you before we move on, because I do want to get to the other thing that I promised we would get to. The other thing I will say about this. So my theory of the case with Corey Richins, I wonder if I can pull this up. Let me just see. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Let me see if I can find this. If I can't, I won't look long. But I want to see if I can find this because this was freaking shocking. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it really quick. I'm looking for the memes that were found on her phone that the prosecutor ended their opening statements with. Is this them? No. Maybe I'll look for a picture. I don't want to waste time with it. The memes that the prosecution ends their opening statement with. Now, we don't know the details, but they are these very shocking memes. And what they tell us is that these were things that Corey is looking at on her phone that morning. They are money oriented. In other words, she's, reveling in lots of money. Does it say like "you suckers" or something? There's one of Donald Trump that says like, I'm filthy rich or something. And then another one that is, what does the other one say? The other one that, oh my God, I'm filthy rich or something. And then the second one is, Kevin Spacey. It's Kevin Spacey from the House of Cards, like turning and looking at the camera and saying like, you idiots or something. And then another meme of like, the guy from, I think, Dumb and Dumber, like, washing his face with money. And the point is that they're very explosive. They're horrific images and designed to do exactly what they do when you see them, to make you kind of gasp and say, how could anyone in grief be actively looking at these things at the same time? They're just horrible. And the implication is that he's now dead, and so I get his money. Now, I don't know that that's what these are. I suspect that's not what they are, because she just closed on a potential $12 million deal. That may very well be what they are really about. We don't know yet. They don't look good. But I do think they speak a little bit, not to her guilt, but to her character. So my point is, by bringing this up, is not to say, oh my God, they make her look guilty, but oh my God, I think this is giving us a clue about who this is, whether it has anything to do with his death or not. I think she's very superficial. I think she's very money-centered. I think she, is driven by how things look on the outside to the outside world. The idea of like success and being a successful person and having money and having the big house and, the perfect family, the exterior. I also think that she was setting up a case from the very beginning for plausible deniability. In other words, every step along the way, she's carefully, it's like little breadcrumbs that she's dropping to indicate to the medical examiner, to the police, to the family, that he had a substance abuse thing, that he had legitimate pain, whether it's from the Lyme disease, whether it's from being a stonemason, whether it's from being an outdoorsman. and that he periodically would take illicit substances for pain. And I think the hydrocodone outdated bottle was intentional. I think if they had tested it, it probably would have tested for fentanyl, because the idea was to make it look like that's what he had done. He had taken a, quote, fentanyl pill before bed, and oh my God, it was just too much, right? It was a bad fentanyl batch. Now, they didn't test the bottle, but I think that's what she was doing. So my point is, all along, she's setting up her case for plausible deniability with the breadcrumbs, the little things like, oh, it could have been this, or it could have been that, or it could have been this. And ultimately, the plan was just kind of like the prosecutor says, and I don't love agreeing with prosecutors, not my favorite thing, that she wanted to run away with the paramour, with the boyfriend, that she was sending him, right, notes about how she dreamt about, starting their life over, and she just wants to be with him and take the kids and run. And when we listen to her language, guys, it does indicate that those were not our kids or his kids. Those are my kids. That was a huge indicator for me. The my kids. Every time she references those children, she references them as my kids. It's crazy. It's like, I know for me, like when I say things like that, especially if in the presence of my daughter's father, like it would be like if I'm with my sister and I say my father. It's like, well, she has the same father. So as soon as the word comes out of my mouth, I immediately want to make the correction because I'm aware, like, that's our father. It's not my father. That's our father, right? Our mother, not my mother. Well, of course, this is his home. This is our marital home. But it's her house. It's my house and my kids. And I think that's really significant, really significant also. Just Jojo. Hi, Just Jojo King 65 sends $4.99. IMO Corey Richens feels guilt, shame for information infidelity. To me, sister, and BIL acts more guilty of something with their controlling behavior. That's very interesting. Yeah. So that's interesting. So feels guilty and shame for her information infidelity. Yeah, I mean, certainly. So the question is, and I think this is an interesting point also, right? Like, could the shame be for the infidelity? Maybe, but here's the reason why I don't think so on that morning. Because at that time, it's sort of like, death. And if you've ever lost, and I'm sure, most of us have at least had some experiences with loss, it's hard to avoid completely in life, right? Some of us, of course, are, end up experiencing it lots more than others, but it's sort of like, when somebody dies, especially an unexpected, untimely death, it's like everything stops, right? And everything that was bothering you, no matter what it was, could have been the most important business deal of your life. You were flirting with somebody, you thought you were going to have an affair, all this stuff that felt so important yesterday, it kind of goes away. Because it's like, oh my God, this horrible thing has happened, and everything else, the volume is turned down, and I'm just not, I can't deal with those other things right now. Right now, I'm only fully engaged in the present. And from a psychological perspective, this actually has a profound, or it can have a profound, these kinds of experiences give people, even though most of us don't realize it, a profound opportunity to change. So, for example, if somebody has a substance use disorder, and actually a serious one, the loss of a loved one that really shakes somebody to their core, it actually is one of the facilitators that allows for people who otherwise have no control, have not had any success at curbing an addictive behavior. It gives them the ability all of a sudden to be able to do it, because death and loss have a very specific and unique kind of effect on us that is completely separate and apart from normal life. And so I would say I agree with this, that there could have been guilt and shame for other reasons that are not related to murder. The only problem is, I think if she really had nothing to do with this, those things would have been tabled at least for the first 24 or 48 week or so after his death. Those things probably would have crept back in over time, particularly as they're trying to work out the estate. And by the way, the other thing that I forgot to mention that happens right away, I think it happens 48 hours after what we saw. Corey finds out that the sister is the one who now is technically responsible for the house. You know, there's a whole incident where, like, I think Corey's using like a drill saw to drill into the safe in the basement to get money, because the sister like freezes all of Eric's assets and won't let her in. Some crazy stuff goes on because quickly Corey realizes that, you know, that he went behind her back and never told her that he was giving the sister, that he put the house into the trust. Now, the thing about the trust is he was a trustee, so he wasn't planning on just like leaving her high and dry. But I don't even think that, like, it gets so irrational and so unreasonable. I don't even know that there's ever a discussion about what the terms were, right? Because they're literally like pushing and shoving, and like it's a physical altercation that they end up having. And I think it's within 48 hours of finding out about his death, which is crazy. Crazy. Cynthia is saying, yes, there's so much that people don't understand about the day-to-day life with an addict. It's hard to explain to lay people. Absolutely. I know I missed the beginning of that, but that certainly is true. At Tree Landon sends 99. Hi, Tree Landon. Love all of your shows, and thank you for all of your hard work and dedication to your channel, to us, and to your education. Thank you. When do you get your results of your exam? I do not know. Good question. I'm a little afraid to find out. I do have another exam, though, coming up. I have a proctored exam very soon. It's like 6 days from now. This one's multiple choice. You know, I've been studying psychology my whole life. Like, if I can't pass this, then like I'll study in the 2 days before. But like like I said, if I can't pass this exam, I'm screwed. So I don't know, but there's another one. And so I do not want to take that first test again. It was brutal. Yeah, there's a lot. I think there's everything. Like, I think there's a Dateline. There's like a 48 hours. I think all of the typical true crime shows, there's like 4 different podcasts on this case. It was a really big case. And I didn't recognize the name, so I didn't realize that's what the case was until I actually took the time to go look at it and realize this was that case. It seemed like that was so long ago now that I just figured that case had, gone through the system long ago. So I was really surprised to learn that it was only making its way into court now. I guess that's, usually the timeline, but still. Thank you so much for your super chat. I see something, but I don't know what it is. I lost you guys. I'll come back. Okay. So, yeah, if you guys have questions about this case, or let me know, put it in the comments. We will continue to come back to it. I'm going to try to track the Corey Richards case all the way through. And I have the Walk the Dog letter that I'm working on doing an assessment of, and I'm going to put out a full assessment of the 911 call, not the 911 call, of this video, so that you can actually see with your own eyes all of the indicators listed out on the screen. That really does matter. Like, when you see them spelled out, it's like, oh my God, it changes everything. So I think that will make a difference in the end. Now, I saw that there's a bunch of folks who are asking questions about the other case. Don't worry, I'm going to get to you. I see you. I just wanted to wait until we get back to the Karen Reed case before I start answering those questions. And we are going to do that now. Thank you guys for your patience. I so appreciate it. Okay. So now we are shifting topics. And of course, this is a very big topic. You know what? Let me do. I'm going to take a 1-song fervent break just so I can quickly run to the restroom. We're going to hear the live rendition of Fervent's We Believe by the House defendants. So I'm going to pull that up just so I can run to the bathroom, and then we're going to come back and we are going to begin our conversation about the Karen Reed case. Okay. Here we go. Let me bring you on stage. Sorry, guys. It's so weird, like why I can't see it here. I'm coming. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Okay. I found it. Here we go. I'm going to take.
We believe that we can unlock an iPhone with our ass. We believe that medical science is a bunch of crap. We believe that Sir Isaac Newton doesn't know shit about physics. We believe that Celebrite sometimes makes up timestamps but still is the best in the business. We believe that it is acceptable to rehome your family pet of 7 years. We believe that when we are harassed, that's the only time we shed real tears. We believe that we love John O'Keefe, but our group chat showed no compassion. We believe that sometimes you slip on ice and land on your knuckles. Don't you hate when that happens? We believe in providing law enforcement with specific text strings that make us look good and then destroying the ever-loving shit out of our phones. I'm not done. And then taking that destroyed phone and dumping it on a military base. Totally normal. We believe in manipulating people when they are most vulnerable. We believe we have to tell each other what to say to Channel 4, even though it's supposedly the truth. We believe they're dumb enough to believe that John's injuries came from an SUV. We believe that if we put a billboard up, we can shift the narrative and point the finger back at the woman who was acquitted twice. We believe in disgracing the memory of a law enforcement officer and turning his tragic death into the biggest spectacle. Now, shut up, look the other way and give us money!
I love that he ends that with the crowd singing at the end. Oh, it's so good. It's amazing. Okay, we are back. So now, well, okay. I forgot I even had this. Okay, I'm going to show you. We're going to start. I have this whole video I have to show you, but I also want to show you 2 new things that I discovered about Jennifer McCabe's 911 call. Now, hopefully everybody here is up to speed and has heard the analysis of the enhanced, very important, the enhanced 911 call. Because the version that we hear in court at trial is not as clear and you don't get it all. So it's really important that you listen to the enhanced version. I'm debating right now whether to play the whole thing or not because it's so distressing. It's very distressing for me because it's just one giant indicator of deception, the entire call. I mean, it's like so over the top. It's how bad it is. And Alan Jackson does a great job, by the way, of calling her out on some of the stuff from the call. Not the whole thing, but some of it, right? The man passed out in the snow and not mentioning that he's a police officer and all the obvious points. But what I have done here, for those of you that are not as familiar with this, I took the 4-minute voicemail on John O'Keefe's phone that is left on John's phone because Karen is literally calling John at 6:02:41 as they are pulling up in front of 34 Fairview. So she's calling, she's still trying to find him. They pull up, she sees him laying on the lawn in front of the flagpole. She screams at Carrie to stop the car. There he is. She kicks the door. Carrie stops. They don't even see him. Jen says she doesn't see him. Carrie doesn't see him. Karen, with the car still moving, is like opening the door and running out of the car. She goes right to him. Carrie pulls her car over. Carrie gets out. Jen gets out kind of halfway. Carrie looks at Jen and Jen says, "I'll call. I'm calling." And she calls 911. Karen has dropped her cell phone. So she doesn't actually close the phone. So the phone goes to voicemail. And then we actually hear on that 4-minute voicemail, Jen next to the car, or next in that Carrie's car, making the call. So what you're about to hear is both. It's the very beginning. So you're going to hear more of of Karen in the background screaming. This is a distressing call. Let me just give everybody a little bit of a trigger warning. This is, it's distressing on many levels, many, many levels. The fact that Jennifer thinks this is funny in court, is laughing out loud about it, that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, trying not to get distracted by my feelings about Jennifer McCabe. Okay, so I'm adding this to the stage. So we know that the phone registers a cleared pocket state at 6:02:41 because Karen is calling. And when you're calling an iPhone, that call triggers the phone to look for a face so that it will answer it, so that your phone will see that it's you and then answer the call, right? So that's what this pocket state is. It means that somebody removed whatever was blocking the camera, removed that from John's phone. This is John's phone we're talking about. So we still don't know who has the phone at this moment, but whoever has the phone, clears the camera. My guess is they turn the phone over to see who's calling or pick up the phone to see who's calling. That's my guess. Nonetheless, we're going to hear what happens right now. And again, this is both, because there's two things I want you to hear here that are new, that I never noticed before. I don't know if you can hear it well enough. See if you can hear it here. So Karen.
No, please square line. What is your?
All right. So in the background there, Jen says to Carrie, I'm calling. You hear the door slam. Carrie goes to John in front of the flagpole. Jen stays by Carrie's car and is calling 911. This is the enhanced phone call superimposed over their reactions to it during trial number 2. So I'm just going to play it. I'll stop it when I get to the new things.
Yes, I need someone to come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Mass. There's a man passed out in the snow.
You're in Canton? Hold on. I'm going to transfer over to Canton, please. You're connected to Norwood, okay?
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
It's the tower. Stay on the line.
I think he's dead. We need, you got to get here ASAP, okay?
I'm going to transfer the line. I'm going to transfer to Canton.
So the first dispatch that she gets routed to is the wrong town. And she's talking to him. right before he transfers her to the next town, she says, I think he's dead. Like, you got to get here ASAP, okay? So in other words, she's trying to tell the dispatch that John is dead, but do it in a way that doesn't alarm Carrie and Karen. You know, like the way you might talk when your kids are in the room and you're trying not to sound like anything is wrong. And so you kind of gloss over it and like whisper a little bit and speak quickly. That's what she's doing here. So by the way, she does this every time she mentions that he's dead. She does it 4 times. So, and just to be very clear, I know you know this, but I'm going to tell you again. It's 6:03:34. John's phone registers a pocket state at 6:02:41. In 40 seconds, approximately, Jennifer arrives on the scene and goes right to call 911. She does not go to John's body. And we know that she's next to the car because we can hear her making this call on Karen's phone call to John on the message. So she doesn't take the phone over to John. She's not reporting John's condition from his body. She's at the car. Okay. So you're going to hear that, but I just want to make that clear. So in 40 seconds, you do not have time to assess definitively that this man who you did not know was there, allegedly, is absolutely, without a doubt, dead because you didn't even know he was there. How could you possibly know what the state of his well-being is? It's just impossible.
Okay. I know. Where are the blankets? I don't see blankets, Terry.
911, what's your emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow at 34?
Passed out, yes. 34, the Albert resident, yes. I just pulled up and found him.
Okay, 34 Fairview?
34 Fairview, Canton, Mass, yes.
911, that's not recorded. Where's your emergency?
I don't know.
Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton?
34 Fairview?
Yes, there's a man unresponsive in the snow.
Okay. Is he blue at all?
So there she does it the second time. It seems like he's dead. Yep. Right. So she doesn't want Karen and Carrie to hear her saying it. Seems like he's dead. Now you'll hear there's an echo. There's an echo because this is synced up with the voicemail on John's phone. That's why you can hear more of Karen and Carrie in the background and why there's a slight echo on the call.
You've got to get here, okay?
Okay. What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay, so here's a big one. Dispatch asks, what's going on? Is he face down? Now, for a while, a bunch of us were trying to figure out, why does she say this? We just flipped him over? Like, we know that they didn't flip him over. He was on his back when they find him. There's no flipping him over. And then it hit me the last time I heard this. Oh my God. She understands that the guy she's talking to is asking that question because she's saying, I think he's dead. So how could you possibly know that? Why would you think that? What is he, face down? Right? Why else would you be so sure? Because you just pulled up and found him. That's what she's saying. I just pulled up and found him. Well, if you just pulled up and found him, how could you be so sure that he's dead? What was he, face down? She knows that's why he asked that question. So she says, well, we just flipped him over. It took me a while to figure it out, but that is why she says that, because she understands that the reason why he asked that is because she insists that he's dead. She's so evil. I'm sorry.
And who's that in the background? Is that someone related?
Okay, that's his girlfriend. His name is John O'Keefe.
Okay, how old is he?
John is 46 years old.
46. How long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and
is he breathing?
A couple of hours. Is he, Carrie? Is he?
Okay. Now the guy asks, is he breathing? And she turns around to ask Carrie, but she doesn't ask. She's like, Carrie? And then she's like, I don't know if he's breathing. But she never asks Carrie.
I don't know if he's breathing. There are two women trying to do his body heat, and they're hysterical.
Okay. So listen, you have to listen very carefully here. This is like, you really have to listen carefully. And I know the sound sucks here. I'm gonna have to fix that. So she's getting angry. There are two women trying to heat. So what she's trying to communicate is that they're trying to use their body heat to heat him up. But what we get instead is that she's irritated with the fact that these two hysterical women are running around the scene. That's the message. And they're hysterical. So she's getting aggravated. Now, keep in mind, where is her focus? Is it on reporting back the condition of John O'Keefe, or is it on the two hysterical women that she's irritated by who are trying to heat John, who are doing everything they can to try to help him?
Okay, can you just try to ask him? I know it's tough, but we already have the fire department going. They just got to know.
Yeah, can you ask him, please? Could you ask if he's breathing? That would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Is he breathing, you guys? No. It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do?
So she says it doesn't seem to be breathing because she was going to say it doesn't seem like he's breathing, but she conflates that, and instead it comes out as though like it isn't breathing. It doesn't seem to be breathing.
CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
Can you guys, Carrie, get up. Can you guys do CPR? No, I guess he's gone.
Oh.
No, I guess he's gone. Okay.
Okay. They don't feel comfortable doing so?
Right. No, I think he's passed away.
They don't feel comfortable doing so? No. You don't understand. I think he's passed away. So just to put this, a fine point on this in case it's elusive, this man is saying, do they want to, I'm going to walk them through how to give CPR. And she's saying, no, you don't understand. He's beyond saving. He doesn't need CPR. Like, he's gone. She's waiving CPR.
Okay. All right, we got the fire department and the police department on the way. If everyone's declining CPR, then I'll hang up with you. And
if everyone's declining CPR, then I'll hang up. There's nothing I can do, is what he's saying.
If anything changes, you can give us a call back. Where are you guys outside?
Oh, right out front of his car.
So this is something else I didn't catch till recently. So she thinks that they're about to hang up. She's like, okay. And then when he asks another question about where they are, she gets irritated and she lets out a sigh like, So she's irritated now because he kept her on the phone. Now, all of us know that, from hearing so many of these calls, that 911 tries to keep you on the phone. And it is irritating. Sometimes they're like the worst. This guy's really not that bad. But she's annoyed by it. She just wants to get off the phone. So now she lets out this like I'm annoyed sigh. And let's hear what she does next. This is just
right out front of his car. I know, I'm on the phone with the ambulance. I know, honey, I know. Look, Carrie, you got to get off him, honey. Carrie, you got to get off of him. Oh my God, this is a scene.
Do you know if there was any alcohol or drugs involved?
Stop! They had been out. They had been out.
So now he asks, do you know if there had been alcohol or drugs involved? So she says, with a I'm not calling out all the indicators just in case you think I've lost my mind. Yeah, I mean, clearly there's a trillion indicators. I've done already readings on them before. I can put them in the show notes if you haven't seen it yet. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on that part. I just want you to hear the newer things. So what's important here is listen carefully. There's some things that I missed because I couldn't make them out. So he's asking about alcohol. And she's now remember, she was there. She was with them out. Right? But the way she's framing this, she's just, she's like a stranger who just happened upon a body. That's the way she's framing this. Like she has no idea what's going on. So, listen.
They've been out drinking.
Yes, but I'm talking hours ago, maybe.
So she says they may have been out. I think that's what it is. I don't know if I caught it here. If you can catch it here. Hold on.
And I don't know how long he's been in this now.
Okay.
He says it so quietly. Hold on.
They had been out. They had been out.
They've been out drinking.
They may have been drinking. So she starts to say they may have been drinking. Like she doesn't know that they were drinking. Because he's asking, were they drinking? And she's like, right? They may have been drinking. And she starts to say it, and then he cuts her off, and then she drops it. So she's lying.
But I'm talking hours ago, maybe. And I don't know how long he's been in this now.
Okay. Is there any bleeding or anything? Maybe hit his head out?
Yes, possibly. There seems to be bleeding in the face.
Okay,
maybe he hit his head. And she says, yes, possibly. This is deflection. There seems to be bleeding in the face.
Bleeding from the face? All right.
Yes.
And how big's
Not
the
from the
pool of
back of
blood,
the head.
if there is any?
Something's coming out of his nose, and one of the women is doing CPR.
Okay, one of the women is doing CPR?
Yes, they're both working on him.
All right, if she's doing CPR, just let me, just give us a call back if he becomes responsive, right? But we're on the way.
Okay, one more thing. Listen very carefully here. Just listen very carefully. I caught this on the very tail end of the voicemail on John O'Keefe's phone. This is in the car.
Okay, thank you.
Let me say.
Could you hear that? I don't know if you could hear it. I'm going to have to fix the sound because it's not loud enough. It's not coming across loud enough here. Somebody is humming. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. I say somebody, but I'm pretty sure you already know who I'm talking about. So you've got Jennifer McCabe, because we can hear Karen and Carrie. We know where they are. Okay, they're by the flagpole with John waiting for the ambulance, waiting for the cops. Jen is in the car, and just before the door slams, we actually hear her say, do, do, do. So I wanted to point those things out. I think they're important and they're worth mentioning. That was not what I was planning on doing just now, but I need you to hear them because they are important. They are so easy to overlook. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. We can talk about the rest of it at a different time. If you have questions, put them in the chat. I will try to get to them. But that 911 call literally really gets under my skin. It is so aggravating. It's very upsetting. It's just so very upsetting. Okay. Let's see. All right. We're doing okay. So on time, I was just checking, doing a little time check here. Let me bring up this video that we're not going to get to it all because it's long. But the purpose of this video. So what I am doing here, let me bring it up so that you can hear. Okay. So,
and
what I am doing here, let me just kind of give you an overview. What I'm doing is I'm trying to put together, I am asking a very simple question, okay? Who saw what? Did John O'Keefe walk into the house? And who saw it? So let's assume John walks into the house at 34 Fairview. Who saw it? Who was where? What did they see? Did people see him walk in? Did they see whatever happened go down? Did it happen somewhere removed from everybody else? Like what are the people? So the real question here that underlies what you're about to see, and I can't wait to hear your comments on this. The question is, what was going on in the house during the time of the crime? So you figure between, let's say, 12:18 when the McCabe's arrive and 12, let's just say 35. Okay. So we'll place John at the house just to make it easy at 12:24. It might be a few minutes before, but let's just say 12:24. So the question is, what's going on in this house between 12:18, just before they pull up in front of the house, and just after? Now, if you are part of this group and you're innocent and John O'Keefe is hit by a car outside, answering questions about what happened should be so easy. It should be a freaking layup. Even if it was the most boring party or after party you've ever been to, it should be so easy, right? I walked in, I went over, I saw my nephew, I said happy birthday. I had a birthday card in my purse. I gave it to him. I went over, I said hello to my sister. We continued a conversation we were having earlier. She was cleaning, I helped her. Then, I mean, you just do a play-by-play. It's simple play-by-play. Just are regurgitating from memory the boring nonsense. Like, it's not hard. This should be an absolute layup, right? So let's see what we get from the people in the house, and you tell me what you see. And I will try to get to your questions as we go through. This is so fun. I love when we get to hear from all of them. It's so much fun.
And when you come in and your son Brian Jr. is sitting around the table with two girls, Sarah and Julie, what are they doing?
We're just sitting there.
Was there any sort of music playing or anything like that going on?
There may have been. I'm not sure if there was music playing at that time, but there might have been.
When you say at that time, was there anything that happened later on?
Well, later on, I remember that we had music connected to like a little speaker that we were playing. Yeah, but when I first walked in, I don't remember if they had music going or not.
Yeah.
So according to Nicole, she walks in and she's asked, like, what are they doing when you walk in? She's like, they're just sitting there. They're just sitting there. Oh my God, it's too funny. I'm sorry. They're just sitting there. Okay. Let me take this question. Twig says, did Loophole send me the to be shattered info? I don't know what that is. What is the to be shattered info? Maybe Vince is like in constant communication, so it's possible. You'd have to be more specific. I don't know what that is a reference to. So you have to be more specific. You have to give me more information. It's very possible, and it may have been a while ago because he's constantly sending information. So I'm not sure. Did you send it to me? Just so any of you that are want me to urgently see something, I am setting aside starting tomorrow, Thursdays, for my paperwork day. So I am going to be going back into all of my emails for everything and school stuff tomorrow. So if you need to send me something, definitely, if you send it to me right now, I will get it first thing tomorrow. Keep that in mind. I'm not sure what that is, Twigs, but we're going to find out. Just Jojo King 65 sends 199. Did you see on video by Loophole, Matt and Carrie? Yes, I did see that. Yes, you're talking about right after this. Yeah, so you guys all have access to it. I will put it in the show notes. The problem with some of these dash cam video files is they're big, and so your editors don't love it. Like my video editors don't love it. It's not their favorite thing in the whole world because they're these massive files and they take forever to navigate, work with, edit. But absolutely, yeah, it's interesting. Carrie goes. Well, she appears as though she's going to go into the house, and then it looks like she stops at the very top by the door to the family room, almost. Like she doesn't actually walk up the steps, and then she leaves, which is interesting, right? Because I don't remember ever hearing anything about that. I did see it. I don't know if I saw it from Vince. I saw it, I think, on the dash cam video because I spent so much time looking at those goddamn dash cam videos. It's a little torturous after a while. I think that's what you're talking about, though. Yeah. Somebody, I want to get back to this question. It's the perfect time to answer it. Yeah. So somebody asked this earlier. I cute Ward sends $10. I think Matt McCabe had the phone and delivered it to Lang's house that morning, walked to his car, drove to Matt's, and then walked to Matt's store. Then Lang drove to the scene. Yeah. So I completely agree with this as a possibility. I think if anybody could have had the phone that we, may not know would have it, it would have been Matt. Because Matt is obviously a trusted ally. I mean, goes without saying. To me, he's, as culpable really as Jen. And absolutely could have been the middleman, could have been, because we know that he knows when Jennifer leaves that house. So let's play this out. Let's just walk this out quickly. So Matt and Jen or get a phone call anyway from Karen. Karen's panicking. She calls over to her sister, says, Karen just called me. She's looking for John. So Jen tells Karen, although she lies about it later, just come here and I'll drive you. I don't want you driving or whatever. So Karen goes to Jen's. Carrie goes to Jen's. They all go to John's. Then they get into Carrie's car from One Meadows and go to 34 Fairview. Well, at the exact same time, as soon as they pull away, Matt goes to 34 Fairview. Of course, because they can't call. She did the 7, I don't know if it was 7 seconds. Is that how long the call is over to Nicole's? I think at that moment, it's a short call. It's just enough to be like, Karen called me or whatever. I'm heading out, whatever. We're on our way, something like that. Quick. It's answered by Nicole. So, of course, Matt's going to go to the house, right? Of course. Even if it's just to give information to them. And it's interesting. Another very shady thing about Matt that morning is when everybody in the house, including the officers, is talking to Matt that morning, there's some confusion about when he's there. Like that, they're trying to say he's not there originally and he shows up a few minutes later. Like there's a lot of, just confusion, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it, around when Matt is actually arriving at the scene on that morning. And of course, as Joe King just pointed out, we do see him actually with Carrie, but it's a little bit later, right? It's after the scene is cleared. My guess is that he had already been there before that at some point. That is my guess. According to Mike Lank, just to be clear, Matt is there. Like as soon as he turns around to walk out, Matt is there. But again, my guess is it's very possible Matt has already been there. That would be my guess, that he was already there, that he leaves before they pull up, before Karen's SUV, before Carrie's SUV pulls up in front of 34 Fairview. So I agree with you 100%. I think this is a very plausible. And here's the thing, right? We can't count Matt's steps. So we won't know that. We cannot know if Matt is doing the 430 steps, we won't be able to see that, obviously. There is also, and this came from Rachel, the data decoder on X, who's amazing, does incredible work on this case. Rachel found that there is, I thought I found it. I was so excited and I jumped the gun and I put out on X that I had found a disappearing and reappearing police officer, which I thought was an edit in the dash cam video. But it turned out that I had accidentally done it myself when I was trying to put all of the different, clips together. Like, so silly me, but at least I caught it really quickly without, spending days screaming to the world that there was an edit. But wouldn't you know it, a few days later, Rachel, data decoder on X, finds exactly that. She finds what appears to be reappearing, disappearing kind of police, moment that just happens to be the same on all of the dash cam. So is it possible that there is a 20, 30-second clip cut out of those dash cams? Absolutely. Would it surprise anyone if that turned out to be the case? No, of course not. These people are so, when it comes to these videos, man, they just cannot be trusted. It's wild. I've never seen anything like it, but you just cannot trust them. It's insane. And if you haven't seen, now we've known for a very long time that the Sally Port video was edited. I mean, we've known that the blurs on the Thanks to Be in Trouble, there's blurs on the taillight at One Meadows. I mean, all these videos have been edited. Obviously, the inverted video with the Sally Port that they played in court. So it shouldn't be a surprise, but just another in a long list at this point of edited stuff, right? From the Commonwealth. It's just disgusting. Okay. At MCP2478 sends $4.99. Did you notice she first said he was on his side, but then she said he was on his back? Yeah. You mean Jen? You're saying, did I notice that Jen said that? Yeah. So you mean the I flipped him over comment? I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'd have to go back and listen to the whole call to hear exactly what you're referencing. But absolutely, she agrees with the dispatch. She doesn't actually agree, but she makes it sound like she agrees when he says, did you find him face down? And again, she realizes right away that the reason he's asking that is because she's insisting that he's dead. And there's no other way you could know that, right? You arrive on a scene and there's a guy laying in the snow. How do you know that he's dead? How could you know that? You don't know that. She can't even tell him if he's breathing or not, right? And that's, when you think about it, it's so incredibly suspect. It's just every second of that 911 call freaks me out because it's just so incriminating. People are like, Sam, why do you hate Jen? I don't hate Jen. I hate people who lie their faces off with every breath and then murder police officers and try to put it on an innocent person and then go hang out with his adopted children. It's disgusting. I can't. Twig sends $2. He says, I'll buy the phone if you want to. Well, that's nice of you. You definitely don't have to do that. I mean, we're probably better off if we both buy it and do our research together. The one thing we have to figure out is about the software. Like, is it possible, I'm sure it is, to buy the iPhone with that very specific software so that the update whatever iPhone 11 update he had to try to keep it at that, right? Make sure that that phone doesn't start updating to the newest software. Yeah, we should do it together. Let's both do it. And then we can see what we learn. I think it's a great idea. I mean, I don't know how else to learn about steps, because even if I take my phone and I try to do those experiments, it may be different on an iPhone 11, right? So, and even if you don't connect it to cellular, but just keep it to your Wi-Fi, it still should register steps, right? So, okay. I just wanted to make sure I get to everybody who's asking questions about, oh, I'm sorry. I just misread that in the timeline. I apologize. So MCP2478 was talking about the Corey Richens call. Did you notice that she first said he was on his side? Sorry, I read that in the wrong slew of messages. I apologize. Yes, I did notice that. And that's why I was pointing out the two beds together, because what she says is that she goes to cuddle him. And it looks like there's actually, that would have been really hard to do if there's a hole in between the two beds. That's why I was asking about the hole. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back. Don't worry, I'm gonna put out a full read on that video as soon as I can, because there's so many indicators in there. Wait till you see. All right, let me get back to this video. So far, all we are hearing is that Nicole can't tell us anything about what happened. So she's asked, when you walked in, what did you see? In fact, I'll play it. It's really quick. I'll just start from the beginning.
And when you come in and your son Brian Jr. is sitting around the table with two girls, Sarah and Julie, what are they doing?
We're just sitting there.
Was there any sort of music playing or anything like that going on?
Just sitting there.
There may have been. I'm not sure if there was music playing at that time, but there might have been.
When you say at that time, was there anything that happened later on?
Well, later on, I remember that we had music connected to like a little speaker that we were playing. Yeah, but when I first walked in, I don't remember if they had music going or not.
Yeah, I think people were just sitting around, having drinks. Someone had a speaker, and they were listening to music and just talking and hanging out.
We were just kind of hanging out. I remember that my mom had grabbed like a small speaker and put some music on. We had a couple drinks, and everyone was just kind of like having a good time, hanging out. We said happy birthday to Brian, and that was kind of it.
Kind of.
Pulled into the driveway.
And the driveway at the house of Fairview essentially has two garage doors, is that correct?
Yes.
Sort of widens out as you get to the top, closer to the house?
Yes.
Do you recall where in relation to the driveway was parked when you got there?
I just remember pulling in, there was definitely a car in front of me. There possibly could have been a car to the left.
When you get to the house, who, if anyone, do you observe?
When I walk in, Caitlin Albert, Brian Albert, Julie Nagel, and Sarah Levinson are all sitting at the kitchen table. My sister Nicole was in the kitchen wiping the counters because she's always cleaning. And Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were in the, I guess you'd call it the TV room area, just standing and talking.
Now, as far as when you arrive at the house, where did your wife park the vehicle in relation to the house?
She pulled the vehicle into the driveway.
And you're obviously familiar with the address or the residence at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes, I am.
Been there several times before this evening?
Yes, I have.
And essentially there's two garage doors on the house. There's one on the left, one on the right. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall whether or not your wife parked on the left side of the driveway or the right side of the driveway?
I believe it was the left, but the driveway is fairly wide. It kind of widens out, not just the two doors. So I don't know if she was right on the left where the walkway is, or if she was, one kind of more in the middle, because that driveway you could pull up even on the right of her, but somewhere, I don't know exactly, but she pulled into the driveway.
So she pulls in the driveway, she parks, you guys go in the house, correct?
Yes.
When you get
It's
inside
like a
the
comedy
house, who, if anyone, do you observe it?
When we entered the house, we observed Caitlin, Brian Jr. Brian had two friends there, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert Sr.
And where?
Did I say Nicole? Nicole, I don't know if I said Nicole.
What are some of the things that everybody did along that night before you left? What happened in there?
What happened inside the house?
Yeah.
Nothing. We basically just sat around the table, talked, laughed, listened to music, chit-chatted.
Celebratory?
Yes.
Okay. So I can't believe I never really caught this before. But now that I am about to tell you, you're going to hear it over and over and over again. So they were all given the same line. Talked, laughed, listened to music. Talked, laughed, listened to music. That's what they did. What did you do? We talked, we laughed, we listened to music. Every single one of them gives us some version, and sometimes it's literally exactly the same. Verbatim the same. Like Nicole and Brian Sr. and Caitlin, definitely Caitlin and her father, but I'm pretty sure Nicole too, all say it the same way. So they each have their own way, but they're all saying exactly the same thing. We talked, we laughed, listened to music. That's what happened. And you'll note as we continue on, as more time goes by, they drop Brian Jr. So in the beginning, it was, oh, celebration, Brian Jr., happy birthday. But you'll note Jen forgets about that completely. So stops mentioning him altogether. Brennan has to like prompt that from her by reminding her, like, was it celebratory, right?
I just sat down at the table. I started talking to them. We were listening to music. Typical night.
And where in the house were they situated?
When I recall, everybody was congregated when you walk in the front door, to your right, there's a table, and then there's an open floor where it goes right to the kitchen and the room with the table. They just flow into each other. So people are surrounding either the island in the kitchen and or the table area.
And when they came into the house, this sort of second group, where was it that they went and sort of congregated around the house?
Yeah, we all were still in the same room in the family area. The floor plan, which is the kitchen and the dining room area. Yeah, we all were still in the same room in the family area. The floor plan, which is the kitchen and the dining room area. Yeah.
Yeah.
At any point in time, well, let me ask you this. They come sometime shortly around or after midnight, is that fair to say?
Yes.
But how long after they arrived, or about what time?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
I sat at the table and I just spoke to Brian and Katie and the two girls most of the night.
So in front of the front window where their back would be to the window was my friend Julie Nagel. I was sitting, then I could see the front door. And then to my right, Brian Sr. and Mr. Higgins were standing. So they're back towards the kitchen. And Mrs. Albert Nicole was sitting with her back to the front door.
So we're going to get to Sarah Levins at a different time because I'm savvy to her. It took me a long time to figure it out, but I finally got savvy to Sarah. So what she's doing is superimposing where they were in the family room and what the configuration was onto the table in the kitchen, dining room area. And she's the only one that doesn't tell us that Nicole is cleaning. In fact, according to her, Nicole is sitting with them, sitting with a beer. And of course, watching Nicole leave the waterfall with a beer in her hand certainly supports the notion that she didn't come in and start cleaning, but that she came in and joined the party. Right? Just needed to say that. I'll let her finish.
Area. And Jen and Matt and Caitlin, I don't believe were sitting.
I sat at the table and I just spoke to Brian and Katie and the two girls most of the night.
And Jen and Matt and Caitlin, I don't believe were sitting.
Which door do you go in when you get to your sister's house?
The front door.
Was anybody with you when you went in?
My husband, Matt.
You walked in together?
Yes.
Tell us the first person you remember meeting.
When I went in the house?
Yes.
Probably my niece was at the table, and then I saw.
Notice where she's looking. Always watch Jen's eyes. But because think about it. You know, when you're like dazing off into space, you know, like you're looking into a crowd, let's say, you're not actually focusing on anything that's in front of you because you're recalling information, right? So you're dazing, you're like daydreaming almost. Well, when you're pulling information from a rehearsed, something that's imagination, like, so in other words, when you're daydreaming about a future incident, that hasn't happened yet. That's in the future. So you're daydreaming, like you're inventing something, right? So you know, Jen is doing exactly that. She's got the look of like somebody who's inventing as she's going. She's not recalling. She's not going into the memory and trying to pull out factually a play-by-play of what she saw. She's trying to pull the rehearsed statements. That's what this is.
My nephew, Brian.
Was there anybody else you saw at the table?
Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson.
So when you walk in the front door of the house, is it what table? Is it a living room table, a kitchen table?
Oh, you walk in and then you go to the right and it's into the kitchen and there's a table there.
Is the kitchen separate from the living room or is it open?
It's open, but they're separate.
Can you see the kitchen table when you walk in the door if you turn and look right?
Yes.
And when you go into the kitchen, you said there was a woman by the name of Julie Nagel?
Yes.
And then another woman, Sarah?
Yes.
You know her last name?
Levinson.
Okay. Julie Nagel, did you know her when you walked in the house that night?
I had met her a few times.
Had you spent time with her? Were you friends with her?
No, I just had met her a few times, and she had watched my dog for me when my nephew couldn't.
When you would go away, would your nephew be responsible to watch your dog?
Yes.
Did you understand that Julie Nagel had watched your dog a couple of times?
Yes.
Had you ever socialized with her before that night?
No, I may have seen her at a graduation party, but never beyond that.
Were you friends with her at that point?
No.
No, of course not.
Friendly enough that she watched your dogs?
Yes, through my nephew. He just said my friend's going to do it, and I trusted his judgment.
And similar to the question I asked you about the waterfall, as far as the, how would you describe sort of the
I
mood
love
or
Matt.
the demeanor of the group in the house when you got here?
Oh, everybody was hanging out. I know Julie was excited. We just showed up. Good to see us. Brian, excited that we came by. Normal.
So you really have to pay attention to these people, and it's brutal to have to do that. But when you're paying attention, it's just so absurd. So Jen just gets done telling us that she barely knows Julie. Like, she's not friends with her. She's never socialized with her. She has no relationship with her whatsoever. Matt is trying to make it sound like there was a positive mood in the house, right? So he overshoots the mark. He makes it sound like it was the greatest experience of his life. He's like, oh, yeah, it was great, right? And then the only thing he can think to say is that Julie Nagel was really excited to see them. Now, think about what he is saying, right? Jen just told you that she doesn't even know her, which I don't believe for a second, but that's the point, right? Jen's like, I don't know who that is. I've never, and of course she uses the word never, I've never even like seen her before. I barely know that she exists in the world. And then Matt comes along and Matt's like, oh, it was the greatest night. And Julie was like so excited to see us. It's just, it's cringe and it's awkward and it is just so absurd. It's not even like carefully calculated, thought through deception. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And that's what these people are. Absurd. I don't know how anyone like looks at this and isn't put off. Like this is so clearly not what happened, guys. And I also really need to make this clear. Really, seriously, everybody really think about this. I mean, really think about this. Okay. Adam Lally is asking him to recount what happened when he walked in. This is what happened when you walked in. John O'Keefe and Karen Reed are not there yet. They're not there yet. Now, think about this. When we are being led, so when you're being asked questions, particularly in this situation by an attorney in a courtroom who's walking you through a sequence of events. The same thing would be true if you were in an interrogation or with a police officer in an interview, and they're like, all right, tell me what happened Tuesday night. And you're like, all right, well, this happened and then that happened. And as you go through that sequence of events, each part of the night is coming to your mind. Okay, so you're bringing up and you're recalling each part like a segment. Literally, the brain registers time like that in segments. So he's bringing up the segment that he's being asked to consider. Okay, now he's lying his face off about whatever happened because he's trying to make it sound like it was the greatest night of his life, which doesn't make any sense. But the important thing to consider is that the majority of the questions that are being asked right now are asked about the time before John and Karen walk in the house. This should be a layup. There should not be any reason whatsoever to have to lie about this. This should simply be a report, a simple report. We walked in. This is who was where. I went to the refrigerator. I grabbed a beer. They had Trulies and Budweiser. I grabbed a bottle of Budweiser. I needed a can opener, whatever. Like I went over, I said hello to Nicole, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's totally irrelevant what happened because this is before John and Karen pull up. Unless it isn't. And that's the problem. And I cannot believe this never dawned on me before. Because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, yeah, Sam, of course, because they have to lie about whatever comes next. But that's not how this goes. That's not how humans are. Like when we're being walked through a time sequence, we are able to put them into segments. So whatever happened after would have been after. So whatever happens after John walks in that house happens after this. So they are lying about something that's happening now. And it's before John and Karen walk in that house. And that is a very serious question. Why are they lying about whatever happened before they came into the house? Before. And we guys are not able to get a straight answer out of any of these people. No one is able to give you an honest answer at all about what was going on before that SUV pulls up in front of 34 Fairview Road. So that opens the door to a whole laundry list of questions, right? Like, is this about Colin? Is this about Brian Higgins? Is this because maybe Brian Higgins was threatening John O'Keefe in that bar? And maybe the fact that Brian, Albert, and Nicole are motioning to John at the bar also to come with them. Maybe it was an ambush. Maybe they were, maybe Higgins was worked up and was planning on confronting John and Karen, or at least John. And they knew about it. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing out possibilities. This is why I want to do our workshop that I mentioned for members. We want to do some kind of an ideas workshop where maybe we can just kind of come together and throw out our best guesses. And maybe that can help us to kind of, challenge ourselves, think outside of the box, whatever. Because I find that, at least for me, it's talking to you guys, it's thinking through, being challenged by Vince constantly, playing devil's advocate, telling me how much he loves Jen. That's a good thing though, because it forces me to be like, oh yeah, right. Why do I feel this way? That's good. Because this is different. This is something else. This is not a cover up after the fact. This is them refusing to tell us the truth about something that was going on before John walks in. And that seems extremely important because let me give you an example. When Nicole is asked, she says, what are they doing when you walk in the house? She says, just sitting there. So that's not a complete sentence. There's no commitment in that sentence. And she's using just, which means that's not what they were doing. They were not just sitting there. They were doing something else that she's not telling us about, right? Matt, when Matt is asked, he makes it sound like this was the greatest night of his life, talks about Julie being excited to see them, and then uses the phrase normal. That's it. One word, normal. So here's what we know. Whatever happened, it was absolutely not normal. What is going on in this house that nobody can tell us before John and Karen are even are in the picture at this time? They're not there yet. We know because we can see them on the library camera, right? Karen's like lost.
So, fair to say no tension, no arguments, nothing like that while you were at the house?
No.
And do you recall sort of what you were doing while you were at the house, or what the group was doing?
What were you doing?
It's kind of hanging out, talking, sitting around the table, engaging. Music was on.
Right. What were you doing? Oh, we were talking, laughing, and listening to music. That's what we were doing. Everybody says it. And now we get another definitive lie about, well, you know.
Just having a good time, just hanging out, talking, enjoying each other's company. I do recall my wife put on a foolish video that she wanted to show the kids at the table. But other than that
was
just
it.
Socially hanging out with each other.
Socially hanging out.
Anything stand out as far as music or interaction with the group?
No, we were just laughing, telling stories. At one point,
we were just laughing and telling stories, which means, guess what? That's just not what they were doing. And here's the thing about the story she's about to tell us. We know because Ian Whiffen uses Jen McCabe's phone in his little demonstration during trial number 1. And he brings up the It's Raining Men video from Jen's phone. And it says the date that it was last viewed. And it was viewed on 1/27/22. So Jen is about to tell us a story about the It's Raining Men video from 2 nights earlier.
I'm not sure if it was at some point. My other nephew had been over my house and had shown me this video on his phone, and it was a family inside joke. The video, it was a music video from a long time ago. And so I was telling my other niece and nephew, oh my gosh, you have to see this video. It's hysterical. And then we started playing it and watching it.
What was the video?
It's Raining Men.
Did that get a lot of playtime during that get-together?
Brennan asks, did that get a lot of playtime during this get-together? And guess what she does? Oh, of course, evade the question completely. She does not answer that question. She completely ignores it because, of course, it did not get any playtime on this night. And then goes on to explain that it's an inside joke and none of us care at all. But you see what's happening here.
Well, I have one sister who.
So they can't even. Here's the point. They cannot even invent. We're talking about what is this? 12 minutes, 15 minutes. There's nothing that they are willing, nothing, not from the moment that they arrive at this house. Nobody is willing to tell us anything that is true about what happened in that house. Nothing. All of them are lying. Every single one. Every single one. None of this is true. They were not hanging around the table. None of that is true. And this is not only when John and Karen are supposed to be in front of the house. This is before also. Why? Why? Why do we get nothing about what was going on in that house? There's something so wrong here, guys. So wrong. Over the top wrong. And I know you know that, but this is just, there's so many indications. There is such a serious problem here.
Sometimes is a little.
What were you doing? We were laughing, talking, and listening to music. What were you doing? We were laughing, talking, and chit-chatting, listening to music, talking.
Too much to drink, takes out an umbrella, and will dance. So it's a family joke.
While you were at your sister's house, what area of the house were you spending time in?
Yeah, I was in the kitchen.
What was the mood of everybody in the house?
Yeah, I was in the kitchen.
Everybody was in a great mood.
Was there any fighting?
No.
Any arguing?
No.
Any violence?
No.
Was it a celebratory mood?
Yes.
As you were in the house, were you waiting for anybody else that you expected to come?
Yes, I was expecting John and Karen to come.
Oh my God, guys. I know this is going to shock you, but that was a true statement. Shocking, I know.
At some point when you're in the kitchen, well, let me ask you a little background. As you're in the kitchen of that house, can you see outside from the kitchen area?
They had blinds or something down, but if the blinds were up, you could see out.
Was there ever any fighting?
No, none at all.
Any arguing?
None at all.
Any physical
none at all,
interaction?
No, none.
When you decided to leave that night, did you say around 1:45-ish?
Yes.
When you left around 1:45, was there any events that happened that night that would cause you unrest or excitement or your heartbeat to raise?
No.
When you decided to leave, you and your husband, where were you going to go?
We were dropping off Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, and then we were going home.
Had you planned on dropping them off earlier in the night?
No, when we got there, Julie's brother had pulled up to pick them up, and I
won't ask you what was said because you weren't there.
Oh, okay.
At some point, did you come to an understanding that you would give them a ride home?
Yes.
Did you offer?
Yes.
Who was going to drive home between you and your husband?
Matt drove home.
When you left, I want you to describe as you step out into the driveway or the walkway. Was it the front door or side door, if you remember?
I walked out the front door.
Is the weather like it was when you first got there?
No, it's picked up.
Tell us what you mean by it's picked up.
So as I walk out, you kind of go, the walkway is to the left. So I walk down the steps, I go to the left. The snow was coming, it was cold, the wind was picking up. So I kind of just curled up and ran to my car quick to get in.
So he had arrived at your house before you, is that correct?
Yes.
And you said it looked like he had done something to the driveway?
He may have skimmed. He had a plow on his truck, and I think he may have plowed the driveway and then pulled out, and then we pulled in.
Of course, Brian Higgins skimmed the driveway that had no snow on it. Wouldn't that be isn't that a bad thing for plow to actually plow gravel? Seems like a bad idea. It's not even gravel, right? It's a paved driveway, no?
I believe I went in the door on the right, which goes into the den. Not really sure what other doors people used.
And And
Of
when
course
you
not.
came into the house, who, if any,
And by the way, with this whole doors nonsense, I mean, this is so absurd. We already know that the majority of these people use the side door. That's the big story that we get from Nicole. And also, she doesn't tell us very many true things, but that story we know is true. And how do we know it's true? Because she's self-soothing her way through that whole story. She's telling us something that feels very vulnerable, like she didn't want to say it, right? Because that feels like a vulnerable truth that her children didn't do what she asked or wanted them to do. It was just quicker or easier for them to use the side door. So everybody started using the side door. So we know that this whole story about Colin and Caitlin and all the kids, it's all just nonsense. So again, why? Why? Why does any of this matter? Because this is being in the house happens before John and Karen are thought, allegedly. Unless they are a thought, unless something extremely shady is happening in that house before they get there, before John walks in. Like, what could be going on in the house, right?
one was present beyond the people that you would come in with?
So my son Brian was home. He had two friends, I believe, Julie and Sarah.
And these were people that you had known as friends of your son from bifurcation?
I didn't know Sarah. I had met Julie once or twice.
Right,
And
once or
as you were
twice, of
walking
course.
in, who, if anyone else, beyond your son and his two friends, they said?
And my nephew Colin.
That'd be Colin
Just to be
Albert, is that
clear,
correct?
Julie has been friends with Brian Jr. since, what is it, 8th grade? Middle school. And Brian Albert is telling us he's met her twice. Sarah Levinson has been to the house, she says, I think she says like 20 to 25 times, which really means more like probably 50 times. So if Sarah Levinson has been there that many times, how many times do you think Julie Nagel has been to this house? So I know it's probably, what time is it? 3 hours and 26 minutes. If you have not hit the like button, hit the like button, guys. We're freaking going into overtime. Definitely hit the like button. So my question to you is, we're going to have to wrap this up. This video goes on for another 30 minutes. And don't worry, because I'm adding to it. I am just going to keep adding to this and probably reworking the order of things. So I got to obviously bring in Brian Higgins. I mean, he's not here at all yet. He will be. We got to bring in more of Julie and Sarah because what they have to say is important too. I'm working on a full reading of Sarah. I've had it halfway done for a long time. I have to finish it. Took me a long time to figure her out, but I think I finally have a good sense of what her deception patterns are. So I feel like we're out there, we're chipping away, helping. It's helped a lot to get all this new evidence. It's been super, super helpful. And I do think we all got to come together. Twigs, you and I should definitely invest in some iPhones, right? That sounds like a really good idea. We can, ultimately, the most that we're going to probably do is get a sense for, okay, or is the step situation legitimate? Can we trust it? If I am walking around with a phone in my pocket, is that recording steps versus if I'm holding it in my hand? All those things are going to help us to know one way or the other, is John holding his phone? Is somebody else holding the phone? Those kinds of details. Slowly but surely. But the big thing that I think I really want, what did I do? Sorry, I just took myself off the screen. The big thing that I really want you guys to be thinking about as we start to venture into this whole extravaganza with these people and their stories during that time. I might even try to isolate it further and specify who's talking about stuff that happens before 11:25 and after, because I do not understand for the life of me. This is so important for these people, not for us. This is not our lives. This is their lives, right? And you want us to believe you're innocent. And then when you're asked about the time of the murder, what was going on in the house, nobody can give us anything more than we were laughing, talking, and listening to music. Nobody. Or Matt tells us that Julie is really, oh, Julie's so excited to see us. I mean, it's ludicrous. It's like completely absurd, right? It's almost like they're mocking you. So, so the question is, what could be going on in that time before John pulls up? Because we know, I mean, all of us have known this for a long time, or at least most of us have believed for a long time that whatever happens to John happens quickly because there's simply no more interaction with that phone. He, does the lock at 12:32, I believe, around approximately. I think that's the final interaction with the phone, 12:32 and change. So we know it has to be soon thereafter because, of course, if somebody is using their phone, there's going to be activity on it, right? And we know there isn't. So he's not around much longer than that. So whatever happens is happening in a very short window. And all of a sudden, the fact that none of these people can tell us anything legitimate at all about whatever was going on in that house before they get there starts to paint a picture about what could have been happening when he walks in. And that's the important part because either they're waiting for him. Brian Higgins is so upset he can't control himself. He's in the house, talking about wanting to beat John up. I mean, does anybody really think that? Is that really what we're saying? I don't know. Is he that drunk? I don't know. I don't know if it's that. Is it Colin? Colin's in there drunk, maybe fighting with somebody else. John comes in into somebody else who's fighting. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I think collectively we can put our big, beautiful brains together and start to try to piece this apart because these people are frankly not that smart. And we do have a lot of information and we do have very, very obvious indicators of deception. And then we have people who out themselves. I didn't get to show you this because it's not directly involved with this question, but I just found this today. Matt actually verifies what Julie says about them being in the family room. I couldn't believe it. Matt actually tells us, well, yeah, I mean, people were in and out. They were in both. We were back and forth. Because they're not, they're open. They're open. I love Matt. He's hilarious. When you actually listen to Matt McCabe testify, it's like watching a comedy skit. Like I know he's not supposed to be funny, but he's very funny. He gets very overly formal, a lot like Allie, but Allie's more uncomfortable to watch. So it's funny. Anyway, let me see and make sure that nobody else has any questions before we go. But seriously, think about that question. What the hell is going on in this house before John and Karen pull up? Because something is going on. Something is going on in that house. Twigs the Gemini sends $5 to be shattered in reference to Karen. Oh, we talked about it on the Nooner Monday. Loophole confirmed that report was real. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. Absolutely, it's real. Yes, that's right. Oh, now, see, I knew it was familiar. Yes. So Michael Proctor, I think it's in his very first report, he actually types out, it says it in the report. I think he's trying to say that the taillight was shattered, but instead he writes the taillights to be shattered. And it really does say that. 100%. Yes, you are absolutely right. Thank you for reminding me. I knew it was familiar. Yeah. Proctor writes in his report that the taillight is to be shattered. another one of these slips. Another one of these slips. And I don't know if you guys have seen the video that I did. Well, this all started with Emily C. and her guest, who's a law enforcement person in Tennessee, who discovered that the taillight pieces on the scene and that are shown in court by Brian Tully are not the same. And they're not. So those original 3 pieces that are found, well, 3 that turns into 5 somehow magically, that are found at the CERT team search are not from Karen Reed's taillight. They're not. They do not match the same pieces that are later added to the reconstruction. Not even the same color, actually. You can see that when you look very closely. Take the time to look very closely. Karen's color is like a deeper, like almost like a mute red, like a, you know, not a shiny red. It's like a dark burnt red, and it's flat. And the taillight that we see at the scene is an end piece, and it's a brighter red. It's like a shiny, bright red. So they're different. They're not the same pieces. They're close. I'll give them that. They got them close enough that with a 2-second glance, you're like, oh yeah, okay, that looks close enough. But when you put those taillight pieces under any level of investigation, any scrutiny at all, they do not pass the scratch test. Not at all. Not for a second. And it's clear. It's not even like hard to see. It's just that, again, all of us are like, well, okay. And then if you do track pieces, those same pieces, through to the reconstruction of the taillight that Adam Lally presents in court, those pieces aren't there. They're not in the reconstruction. What a shock. So I now, because of that, have no choice myself. And I encourage you, do it for yourself. Go through the whole exercise. Try to match up the pieces. You know, that's how I came to be so certain. If I didn't do it myself, I probably would have a hard time being so sure. But because I did, and because I literally tried to track a piece through to reconstruction of the taillight and was told by Adam Lally the piece that I was holding was in the reconstruction, but lo and behold, of course it isn't. I know for sure that what they're telling me isn't true. But ultimately, all of that lends itself to the pieces that were found that first night didn't come from Karen's car. So it's funny because Proctor still, despite that, tries to make it sound like the car gets there so much later that it's absolutely unimaginable that the taillight's planted. But when all is said and done, they're not the same pieces. So it doesn't even matter. Right? It doesn't, and it really, you think about it logically, of course it doesn't matter, because we know, thanks to Michael Proctor's texts, that they were already thinking, okay, how are we going to prove this? How are we going to prove, right? That's another animal we won't be able to prove. So clearly they were trying to plant evidence immediately before they even had Karen's car. It's just crazy. This whole thing is so nuts. How did this case happen? How does any of this happen? It's so crazy. So crazy. Twig sends $5, says the story about Nicole always cleaning. Oh my God. Was in case they ever checked the house and found all the bleach. Yeah, maybe. You know what? I think 2 things are true here. I think she probably does. You know, it's anybody when it's your house. You have a bunch of kids. They're all eating. The pizza boxes are everywhere. I'm sure she did tidy up. And it probably was something she would do. But I think that you're right. My sense is she was cleaning up. And that's probably why they call Nicole into the family room. Well, that's probably why they tell us they call her away from everybody else, right? I don't think that they are away from everybody else. I think everybody is there. And it's getting so much harder for me to keep all these people, you know, sectioned off in different parts of the house. To me, there wasn't enough time. It seems like what very likely happened was he walked in and whatever happened almost immediately. So quick. And you know what? I'll show you guys right now just because hopefully everybody's seen this, but if just in case you have not seen this, let me show you very quickly because I happen to have it pulled up right here. Hold on.
Yes, Chris and
Forget about that for a second. Here's the picture. I just want you to see the image. Where is it? I just had it. 16. Here it is. So look at this. You see that?
So if someone was standing in the family room and you were standing in the...
I'm just letting it play so I can show you the family room. There it is. So look at this fireplace. We're told by Dr. La Posada that the mark on John's back of John's head is indicative of falling on a step, a concrete step, both because it has like it makes the indentation of a sharp line the way it would if you hit like the side of a step, right? Or like the end of this brick on this fireplace. And then we see a slide pattern, like as though after he hit his head on a sharp, like jagged line, it looks like the next part like is all like he slid down that cement step, like almost like a road burn. Well, if you look at this fireplace, I mean, that's exactly what it is, right? This fireplace is exactly indicative of what Dr. La Posada explains to us in court about a concrete step. In fact, it is a step. But it's even more than a cement step, right? Because those bricks are uneven. So it's even more likely, and they're kind of sharp. They have like the sharper edges than an actual smooth step would. So you could absolutely see he hits his head on the side or on one of those bricks and then continues to like slide fall, right? To me, that's, they keep, for some reason, they want to remove themselves from that family room at all costs. People who have probably never even seen the front door, like, are for some reason avoiding the family room at all costs. Jennifer McCabe won't even acknowledge that there is a door on the garage. During the trial, she acts like she's never known there was a garage on this house that she's been to hundreds, probably thousands of times. And you start to wonder, is it because it's close to the family room? Is it that bad, Jen, that you can't even acknowledge there's a door on the garage because of the fact that it's close to the family room? The only place you're comfortable in this house being is in the kitchen? I mean, these are the questions that you have to start asking because their behavior is so insane. I mean, they're insane. Twig says, see, Sam, Matt said Julie was happy they were there. I know. Oh, totally. Julie was definitely there, and she was definitely happy they were there. Julie's one of them. Like, there's no bigger one of them than Julie. Julie might as well, like, like she's a BFF. She might as well have, like, Albert tattooed on her somewhere. Maybe she does. I mean, she bleeds whatever color, their family emblem is. She's as much an Albert as they are. She is. Actually, I appreciate her more now because she's so bad at lying. She's so bad at lying that she lets a lot of stuff slip. Lots of stuff slips out. It's very interesting, actually. I've done some investigating into Julie, and she's an interesting person in all of this. And a lot of that, you guys, I got to thank Turtle Boy for that, because that video, the extended version of that stupid video where he gets in the fight with Julie's brothers, right? With Sam Nagel, the obnoxious class clown with the glasses, because he's like touching Meredith over and over. And she's like, "You're a loser. You're a loser." He's so annoying. I mean, the whole thing is so absurd, but if you watch Julie, it's like she's one of the thug bodyguards outside of D&E filming it. It's wild. It's wild stuff, ththese people. K-Bella 25 sends 199. Maybe the kids were using drugs before, the kids in the house. Even if that was true, I feel like that's the kind of thing that like John would just turn around. Like he's not gonna, this is Brian Albert's house. So I just don't feel like he's gonna cause trouble in there. Like nobody knows better than John that Brian Albert is like the big thought of as like the big scary Boston cop. He wants to be friends with him. Right? So he's not gonna start shit with him unless he has to. That would be my guess. I don't know. Maybe they were all pineappling. That's very cute. Man, I don't think so. Do you get that vibe from this group? First of all, Jen and Nicole are sisters, so ew, I can't even think about that. Too disgusting. I don't know what to put there, so I put this name. I love that. Sends £2. Thank you for all your hard work, and thank you for being here for it. I so appreciate you. Colin says in his report about Turtle Boy at CPD that he hadn't been there. No, that he hadn't been where in 2 years. Oh my God, that is so funny. Wait, where hadn't been at the house? Colin says in his report about Turtle Boy that he hadn't been there in 2 years. Hadn't been where in 2 years? Colin says in his report about Turtle Boy at the Canton Police Department that he hadn't been there in 2 years. I'm not sure where there is, but that is, I mean, Colin is like the worst. Ugh, these people. So bad. It's so hard. It's hard to take. That Colin hadn't been to the PD interview or trouble. Oh, maybe not. So Colin to me is first of all, he's never going to get in trouble. I mean, that's the problem, right? Just like Chris. Same thing. All these people, their problem is that they never have to take responsibility for themselves. They've always gotten away with it, whether it's because of Brian Albert Sr., because of Kevin, because of Mike Lank being friends with Chris since, kindergarten, whatever, 3rd grade, whenever they became friends, 8th grade. Like, that's the problem. None of these people ever have to take responsibility for themselves because they're always able to get out of trouble. That's true for Jen. That's why she's feels free to just like threaten everybody all the time. Like Tom Beatty says, she still has a bunch of people. Oh, the same people are still around her now at the kids' high school lacrosse game as they were when she was in high school. So none of these people see any reason or need to take personal responsibility for themselves. You've got Chris Albert talking about how his son was 17 at the time this all went down. So what does that mean? So what, Chris? Does that make your son any less liable for his behavior? I mean, isn't that your fault then? Whose fault is that? Do I feel bad for Colin? Well, you're the dad. I mean, where is he getting it from? It's pretty sad that if Colin is involved in this, that both him and his father are responsible for the murder of somebody at 22 years old, by 22 years old, drunk, probably. Ugh, the whole thing is so upsetting. The real Julie Albert. Yeah, Julie Albert is an interesting character too. I don't think I've ever done it publicly, but I did a while back when I was trying to figure out what Colin's involvement was. Julie is an interesting character in the whole story. And when I did the reading of her testimony, there's actually some true stuff in there. Like she does try to tell the truth. How funny is she with the phone calls to the proctors? I mean, the whole thing. And actually, this is important. Her and Brian Albert Jr. both communicate that this is not, whatever happened, they did not want their friends involved. That the only people that they talked about it with was each other. Which is so funny that they both admit that on the stand, and I think they do it without realizing what they're saying. So what they're actually saying is, whatever happened was so incriminating for us that, of course, we would never talk about it with anybody but each other. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you not talk about it with your friends or other people outside of your little tiny circle? You didn't do anything wrong. You're just witnesses in this, right? Which is so obviously not the truth. Yeah. So we got to definitely get to work though, Twigs. We're going to have to get I'll take a look. We should both take a look. Let me know if you find one and maybe we can both get one and start doing our steps experiment. Welcome, 20th Century Foxy. I love the name. Welcome. We're so happy to have you as a new member. I want to just make sure I didn't miss any new members. Welcome to any new members. Thought I saw one that I maybe had missed. I hate when I miss new members. Trish, yep, I see one. Trisha, 11/11/26. Welcome, Trisho. Welcome, Trisho. Super happy to have you. Everybody, Denise, thank you so much for your help tonight. I know it's been a long one. Oh my God, 4 hours. Don't forget to hit the like button, you guys. It's been a marathon today. There's a lot to get to, though, and I knew it was going to be a long one, so I'm happy to do it. Everybody, if I don't see you, have a beautiful rest of your week and weekend. And hopefully I will see you on Monday for our Monday Nooner with Loophole Lawyer. Everybody have a wonderful, blessed night. Bye, guys. Goodbye.
It is the defense counselor's duty to protect the rights of the individual, as it is the prosecution's duty to uphold and defend the laws of the state. Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
This is me reminding you to like this video, comment, subscribe, like this video.